here. Okay.
Alrighty, guys. I hope everybody can hear me. This is the first time getting this all set up right. So let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me, and let Maddie know, because Maddie is going to be coming in. I'm going to be doing his CL1 build, and he is going to be watching the chat, looking for any questions you guys might have, and feeding them to me, because I'm probably going to have my head buried in the build tonight. So with that, let's get Maddie in here. So there we are. All right, gotcha. So I want to make sure I see you okay, Maddie. So, okay, go ahead and talk, Maddie, so I can hear you. Make sure I can still hear. Good, we're good. Okay, yeah, that's because I got the my camera muted. Let me see if I can fix that right now and make sure it doesn't break it. Okay, can you see me okay now? All right. Let me know in the chat. Can everybody see both of us okay? I'm just double checking all the settings tonight. This is the first time setting this up. So everybody says good, clean and clear. Excellent. Okay. Can you hear both of us, Justin? Can you hear me and Maddie? So just want to make sure we can hear. Okay, Justin says he can't hear Maddie. All right, hold on. Okay, hold on. That's okay. Should be able to hear him now. Okay, Maddie, go ahead and talk. Make sure we can hear you.
Check 1 2 1 2. Let me see here if I pop up.
Yeah, that should fix it now. Okay, Justin says he can't.
Hold on one sec. I'll find out.
Yep, just waiting to make sure we got it all set here. Okay. Got to get all these little details working. You see all no Maddie's sound yet?
Yep, I got sound on my end.
Okay, now we're good. All right, awesome. All right, for everybody that knows, everybody knows me. I'm an FPVer, but I do fly the camera drone stuff too. But the goal here tonight is that Maddie's got a 5-inch build that he sent over to me, and we figured we'd go ahead and build it live. So that way everybody can see what tools I use, how I go about the build. Now, I did pre-assemble some of it and pre-test fit some things, because that's kind of an important little tidbit when you're trying to make things work. And I did run into a problem with one of the cameras that I had. It wouldn't fit in the frame, so I had to go and get another camera. So these are little tidbits that you do run into building an FPV rig. You got to make sure the parts that you purchase will fit it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. So the first section we're going to do, for all those that haven't done this yet, is I'm going to just lay out some tools that I use to go over building this stuff. So let me get some of these out on the desk here, and that way everybody can see. I'll go over some of the basic stuff, because they're tools that everybody needs to be able to do all of this. So
sorry for the bad video, by the way. That's Messenger on my laptop.
Yeah,
I'm
having to bring Maddie in through Messenger to make it easy for tonight. So just to try to keep it a little simple.
Although, as long as you're smooth, that's all that matters. Nobody needs to worry about me.
no, Matt will take care of this. So, and yes, Night Train, specs can be tricky sometimes. And not so much specs, but the dimensions. Trying to get something to fit in the spot you want it to fit. So let me go ahead and get the overhead here so you guys can all see us and see what I'm doing here. So let me move this over here.
No, unfortunately, it won't be with the DJI Air unit. I wish, but
no. This is all going to be analog, guys. So that makes it simple and easy for for Maddie to be able to beat the living tar out of this thing and still be able to fix it. So some of the first things you're going to need Allen wrenches. This little set here, I forget where I got it. I think it wasn't at the dollar store, but it was at one of those dollar type stores, and I got this, I think, for like $1.50. And you're going to need Allen wrenches, and you need the metric ones. You got to have ones that go from, I think it's 1.5 up to 5, and that's what these do. Now, I have a set of these in my flight bag. That way, if I break something or need to take something apart, this is what I use. So I'll toss that aside. But what I use here at the house is I use this. This is a nice little set that I got from Harbor Freight. And it comes with all these extra bits, and it comes with all the different sizes. And this thing has just been handy as all get out working here on the bench building stuff. So if you guys want to look for these kind of things, Harbor Freight's where I got this. If you can find something like this somewhere else, go right ahead, but that's the goal. You got to find something that'll work that's not so dang expensive. You don't need to spend a shit ton of money on friggin' tools. Okay. Next things, flush cut pliers. These things are invaluable. You can find them at Walmart. You can find them at Harbor Freight. You can find them at some of the the hardware stores. You just got to look, but they're usually in the electronics department. Sometimes you'll find them in the automotive department. But these are these little flush cut pliers, and they're flush cut on this side, and then they got the indentation on this side. But these things is what I use for doing all the wire cutting. Needle nose pliers. Now these are little fine ones. This is for digging deep inside the frame when you're trying to push something around wire-wise, you know, trying to feed a wire around something to make it fit right. These are really handy also, and they're little tiny needle-shaped ones. Then there's the other ones. These are for holding the bigger wires. Okay, I use these for holding like the power wires for batteries, trying to put together the XT60 plugs and all of that, and I'll use these for those. The invariable X-Acto knife, you gotta have. Everybody's got to have one of these. If not this, at least a straight edge razor blade. Got to have those two. Okay, so there's that. You'll need now my kit that I use here with this has Phillips bits in it. But if you don't, like if you use this small Allen set here, you can use a regular Phillips head. It's a number 2 and a number 1. The number 1 will fit some of the cameras that you get for the FPV drones. They typically have the small 1mm or 1.5mm Allens now, but some of them still come with Phillips head screws, and that you're going to need this for. Let's see what else. Okay, here's some of the other goodies. You got to have this. This you get at AutoZone or any auto parts store. This is all your heat shrink tube. Comes from all the different sizes, small all the way up to some bigger stuff where you can fit your ESCs into and heat shrink them. This is just a killer deal, and they're already cut to the short length, so you're not having to fuss with them so much. You got to have something like this.
Where'd you pick that one up from?
This one I got at AutoZone locally, but you can find it at most any auto parts stores, hardware stores, you know, anywhere that sells electronic stuff. Then for the soldering part, you got to have 3 things. 2 mostly, but 3 is helpful. In fact, I haven't even got this one out of the package because I can't find my big roll. It's in one of my bags or boxes somewhere. So, all right. There's 3 different sizes of solder. This is the little fine stuff. You can get this at the auto parts stores. This is for doing the little electronic stuff. And I'm going to show you the difference between the different sizes, because that's kind of an important little tidbit to use the right solder for the right size wire. When you're doing the fine wires, like for cameras, receivers, VTXs, and all that for all the signals, you want to use the fine wire. Because if you use big thick solder on the fine wire, you end up with a big old glob mess, and you'll end up shorting stuff out. This size here is great for most of the bigger wires, such as motor wires, the power wires to the motors or to the ESCs. Then this thicker solder is really good for putting together the XT60 connectors and putting the main power wires to the flight controller or your PDB, which is your power distribution board, or your 4-in-1 ESC. So these are the 3 sizes that I use typically, and you can find them. You just look. You can tell the difference. The one key thing about it is make sure that you get rosin core solder. Do not get non-rosin core. The non-rosin core is for pipe, for doing copper soldering. You don't want pipe solder. It will not work. You have to have rosin core. Okay. 60/40 is what I try to get when everywhere I can. Every once in a while they don't have it, and they've got the odd one, which is like 65/35, 68.
Yeah, Hadley says 63/37.
Yeah, there you go. That's the other one. Sometimes they'll have those odd ones, but I try to get the 60/40 when I can, because it's just been around forever and it works. So just bear that in mind. It's okay to do the 63/37. It works just fine. All right. Now, to make all this work, you got to have the other tools. For that, you're going to need 3 soldering irons, especially if you get into the bigger motors. Okay. First soldering iron is that little bugger. It is USB powered. You can plug it into your computer. You can plug it into any 5-volt power supply that's designed for like plugging in a charger for a phone or something. These are touch sensitive. When you plug it in, it'll be off. You touch the little silver button and the red light will turn on. It'll heat up very quickly, allow you to solder all the fine wires. And when I say fine wires, I'm talking like these ones right here for doing video feeds, receivers, signal wires. That's what these are for. You'll see me getting to use that tonight. Then you got the next one up. This is a 30-watt soldering iron. This one here is from, where did I get this one? Does it say? I think this one is, I got it from either Walmart or I got it from AutoZone. It's just a standard 30-watt soldering iron. 120 volts, you plug it into AC power. That's what you need. When you get into the bigger motors, where you're soldering up 10-gauge wire, 8-gauge wire for battery leads and things like that, a 30-watt soldering iron almost won't do it. Then you got to move up. This one here is, I got to remember what size wattage this is. Uh-oh, I got to do the old guy thing. Hang on, guys.
Glasses.
I can see crap freaking miles away. Put it up close and I'm done. I got to get the glasses. I went to the eye doctor this week. He said, hey, you're doing really good. You're 2015. Just means I can't see crap up close, you know? So I got a set of glasses
2015 is not bad.
No, it's great for distance vision. Absolutely. So he said my vision's actually gotten better since 4 years ago when I did it the last time. So let's see. This one is, yeah, this is a 60-watt. Okay. That soldering iron right there will solder anything you need. Okay. I have not found much this can't solder, but I have found a few. There is one other soldering iron I keep in the stable just for that. I got to reach under the table here for that. Let me scoot these over. This is the beast. Okay, now I want to, there we go, try to get the glare out. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. This is one hell of a soldering gun. Yeah, let me move it up. There we go. This is a Weller 100 and 140 watt soldering gun. I've had a few wires where even that 60-watt iron wouldn't solder it right. I break this out, dude, there ain't nothing that's going to stop it at that point. This thing will solder good. I actually have broken the tip 4 times, and it's gotten this short. I actually got to go and buy a whole new tip for it now because it's almost done. I just can't get it any shorter to keep stuffing it in the contacts.
That's an old school gun, huh?
Yes. Yeah, you can still get these. Typically, you don't see them in the dual wattage too much unless you pay a little extra for them. You can still find them, though. Weller still makes a version of this. But this is one hell of a soldering gun. So definitely well worth it if you need that ability, and I have run into that. So then with the soldering irons, there's one other little component you need, and I keep this on my desk, and that's this little guy.
Yep.
Now, everybody looks at it and goes, oh, well, yeah, you got to buy it, and, you know, they're $5, $6, $8, whatever. Excuse me. But the thing inside keeps going away. Well, guys, all this is, if you go down to the hardware store and go in the cleaning department, you know, where you get the scrubbers and all that, this is copper scrubbers.
That's
it. For scrubbing pans. That's all this is. Go buy a flipping baggie of it. I got a bag down here of them underneath my desk here, and change it out. And that's all this is. Freaking killer deal. So that is a tool that is just well worth keeping your soldering tip clean while you're soldering. Okay. All right, let's see here. What else do we got tool-wise? Because there's quite a bit. Oh yeah, wire. This is my little box of wire. Okay. When I get my flight controllers and VTXs and everything, some of them come with, you know, most come with their plugs, but there are times when you need to wire it longer because the distance between the VTX and the distance between the flight controller is too much for the connector. So you got to lengthen the wires. You got to have the wire for it. You can find these on Amazon. That's where I got this one. I got this one like 4 years ago. Even the link that I had for it, it's gone. But they still sell this stuff. You just look for... I looked for this particular color set because this is the most common. You got your yellow, red, green, black, and blue. And for the most part, those are the colors you're going to use doing anything with these FPV rigs.
Now, does that box come in the set like that with those colors already in it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it comes in a
I
set.
actually punched the holes here because
Yeah,
on the inside flap, there are holes for it, but they don't have holes for it on the outside flap for some reason. I don't know why they didn't.
Oh, so you have to open the outside flap to get it to come through the inside flap. Yeah, that's kind of a pain in the ass.
And what it does is it keeps it contained. As long as you don't have a grandkid come up here and go, hey, that's cool, and out she comes. You know, yep. I came home one day and I had like
all over my house.
Dude, I had 4 feet of blue wire laying all over the friggin' room in here. It's like, oh my God. It took me like 20 minutes to carefully wind it back onto the spool inside. But the little spools of wire, they sit on a small dowel that is inside the box. The box has a little notch for it to where the rolls will unroll. And it works great. I mean, you can't hardly beat this for what it is. And I've had this box for 4 years, and I still haven't run out of any of the colors yet. So definitely well worth it. Okay.
Nice.
So we'll get to that. All right. Next things. Let me, I'll have to pull this out of the baggies because I put it all together so I wouldn't lose it. All right. 3M double stick tape. Go find a roll. This is like about 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay. Go find a big roll. Don't whine about how much it costs. Just get the stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that stuff does get pricey, but it's worth having. I have this
stuff
stuff here.
Oh my Lord! You
have it just to have
this for everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You got to have it. Second thing, this is the best stuff that I have used to date.
That's what I was gonna ask. That's that
is that cloth tape.
Cloth feeling electrical tape, right?
Yep. Yep. This is it. I think, Maddie, didn't I give you a roll of it when I was out in Florida? No?
Not that I know of.
All right. So this is this, cloth tape. I will find a link for this because, guys, you got to have this. If you're going to do this, do not use regular vinyl electrical tape if you can avoid it. That stuff works great when you first put it on, but gets sticky and nasty after a few months, flying and beating and having to do things. So far, this doesn't. I don't know what it is about how the stickum works on the back and how it sticks to itself and everything around it. But I've had stuff on for months. I mean, I've got stuff up here right now that I took off and redid that had been on for almost 8 months. And it peeled right off, as a whole, as I, sliced it. And it didn't leave everything all nasty sticky. So this is some good stuff, guys. This is some cloth tape.
Blind Nail said hockey tape. That's like the same stuff, isn't it?
Very similar. This isn't hockey tape, but it's similar.
Similar.
Okay, hockey tape's a little different. It's got a little different texture to it, but that's definitely worthwhile. FPV tubes. These are the antenna tubes. Now, what I grabbed, I found that different coffee stir sticks are a little different sized. So if you can kind of see, the black one's a little smaller than the red one.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to go to the different restaurants, pick up some stir sticks, and test them out.
Hit up different 7-Elevens, baby.
Yep, 7-Elevens, where AM, PMs, wherever you want to go. Snappy Marts, pick a place, okay, guys? This, you don't have to spend a lot of money, all right? Go do a little hunting. All right, next thing. Now, I've got this is some bigger heat shrink tube that comes in a roll. I use this typically for the antenna side, for when I'm building antennas, for the stock. I don't have any of the antennas handy right now. They're all packed. Yeah, they're all packed. Okay, so I use this typically for that, but this is also handy for if you got a longer run that you need to put some heat shrink tube on for wires. That's what you need, this kind of stuff. You can find this at the auto parts stores, hardware stores, wherever. Just find something that's the right size. You might have to order it. If you have to, hit Amazon, eBay, wherever you like, and pick up, some, say, 3 to 4 millimeter wide, 5 to 6 millimeter wide. Pick a size that's comfortable for what you're trying to do for putting some wires through, and that will shrink down to it. there's those. All right. Then the absolute best stuff. Zip ties, guys. Zip ties and zip ties. You got to have zip ties. All right. Everywhere. I have bags of this stuff in every box, every flight bag, everywhere I work. Okay, because inevitably something breaks, something comes loose. You gotta hang it back on the quad. Okay, and a zip ties do it. Yep. I have 2 different sizes. Typically, the little small ones, which are about 3 to 4 inches long, and they're very thin. They're easy for zip tying wires, antenna wires, motor wires, you know, to little things just to keep stuff out of the way. These are great for that. For the bigger stuff that you need, like ESCs and things, if you're going to use individual ESCs and stick them out on the arms, I usually will use one of these zip tied around an ESC if I think it's going to be an issue. And then that holds it in place. Absolutely worth every penny you can buy these. Just buy bags of them, don't even hesitate. Then the last thing in this bag, and this will be kind of a personal preference thing, but guys, Umagrip. This is the best battery stick stuff that you can get. Now, I've got the light because I needed it for some thin stuff. I got to order some more of the bigger stuff, you know, the thicker for the battery pads for the bigger batteries that I run. But the light stuff is a little thinner and it's blue. The thicker stuff is black, well worth the time. Okay. You cut it to the shape you want, put it on whatever frame you got, you know, and you're good to go. All right, so that takes care of all those things. And we're going to get to the build here shortly because I think I'm just about covered all the tools. Oh, one last thing. And this will be a kind of a personal preference thing too for the builders, you know, for anybody that wants to build them. Gotta love these things. These are the little foamy pads that you put on the bottom of your bottom of the arms.
I sent it to you with those on.
Yep. Yes, it is. So these things are absolutely wonderful. You know, yes, they do break off if you go scraping it on the ground, running it through tree branches and stuff. Yes, these will break off, but that's why you buy a big box of these things backups and use them. Okay, so that's what I got. All right, let's see here. Got that. That takes care of all those tools. We're doing some of the soldering. Poster tack. This is great stuff when you're working with the electronics boards before you mount them in the quad. This stuff is amazing. Just don't use it. Don't get too crazy with it because if you're soldering right near where this stuff sticks to the electronics, it will melt into the electronics, and then it's a pain in the butt to get out. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, solder on the edge of it, outside of it, so it doesn't actually stick to it. And you'll see what I mean when I get the different flight controllers out and all that. But this stuff is really great. You can find it at all the different places. It's just this nasty, sticky stuff that you stick stuff to the wall with.
I've never even seen that before. I'm curious to see what you're going to use it for.
Oh, well, I'm going to get right to it here shortly. You just take a piece like that. Just kind of squish it together. Make it to where you got a nice little ball there to work with. You're going to stick it down, and it sticks to the table. Okay.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
So once you've done that, then you take this and you very carefully
stick it on. Oh.
And you just stick it down, and now it won't move.
Damn.
Okay. You just give it a little push just so it stays. You don't want to stick it down too hard because, like I said, if you shove it up all into the electronics and then you get it real hot, it melts into the electronics. You don't want to do that. So, yep, sticky tack. You bet, Night Train.
Slick SOB. I tell you, this is all new to me, guys.
Joe, we're getting to the drone condoms. Joe Blaylock's talking about drone condoms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to those. That's kind of later tonight. That's for the what is it? The After Dark crowd.
After Dark. Yeah, there you go.
So let's see here. All right. So I've covered all the tools. Has anybody got any questions about the tools? Okay. I'm just wanting to make sure. You know, if they got any questions about types, different sizes, anything. So
Looks like pretty much our crowd is all experienced FPV pilots, except me. I'm the only one that's not. But if
maybe.
anybody does have any questions, I'm going to answer them to the best of my
Yeah.
ability.
Then
Well,
let me make.
I'm not answering nothing. I'm going to relay it to that man right there, and then he'll
Right.
answer it.
Okay, so yeah, if any of you guys got any questions in the chat, all right, just ask them in the chat. Maddie is watching the chat for me because once I get started on this stuff, I'm not going to be able to watch the chat much at all. Okay, and yes, orange works, Mike. It don't matter what color that stuff is.
Orange. There you go.
Yeah, it'll hold everything. I mean, it'll hold your wires down. It'll do all of that. Yeah, absolutely. So. Funtac, yeah, Funtac. That's another name for it. They got all kinds of names for this stuff. So
You know, I couldn't figure out where you were going with that until you showed it. Because I'm like, why the hell would you need that stuff on a drone? And I hear I'm
right there.
it's actually going to go on the freaking drone. So it's all good. I'm just sitting back and chilling.
This is part of the tools. Okay, so this is where we're at. All right. Even Ranch, I could post links in the. Yeah, you know what? We can do that, Mike. You do.
Yeah, Mike's good with that. With
let me
posting
do
links.
that, Mike. If you can find links to some of these tools that I shown, and post it in the chat for the guys to go do that, I would greatly appreciate that.
Good idea, Mike. Good idea.
Okay, Mikey, you're up. So, chat away. All right, what board is that? This is a 30 amp 4-in-1 ESC. If I remember correctly, I think it's a Rxsr, so it's a very low end board. Okay. This will control all 4 motors. All right. That's the plus side. Here's the downside. If just one side of these ESCs for one set of motors blows out, you have to replace the whole thing. That's the downside. So that's the trade-off between all of this. Okay. The plus side is it makes for a much cleaner build. It makes it easier for wiring as far as keeping it tidy in the frame. But again, the downside is you have one ESC go bad and you're stuck. You have to replace the whole board. Yep. And that is the downside.
I will try. I will try my hardest.
Yeah, don't break it. Okay?
Not break one.
Don't break it.
Well, hell, if I break it, I'm gonna have to fix it. So that's why.
That's right.
That's why I'm on here with you.
Okay, so we're going to get to all of this real quick. I'm going to start with some of the soldering because I got to prep this to be able to get into the drone. I've got both the flight control, the flight controllers right here. This is the 4-in-1 ESC. I've got the I'll get it out of the bag here. And I still have to program this. I haven't done it yet, so we'll get to that. This is the Rxsr Receiver for FR Sky. And then...
That is an Rxsr, you said?
Yes, this is an
that is the one that has
RXSR.
the telemetry.
Right. This is an Rxsr Plus because it has 2 antennas. They do make an Rxsr with a single antenna.
The XM Plus is what I just bought for that big one.
Yeah, the XM Plus is fine. It's a little bigger receiver, but it does everything as well.
Yep.
Then we've got a Runcam Swift camera. And then for motors, let me find the right one that's actually got the motor in it. I think that's the one.
Quarryman says you can wire in a single ESC if you get stuck. If you're stuck.
Yes, you can. It's a little fussy, but yes, you can.
Okay.
Because you'll have to go into where the 4-in-1 ESC wires go into the 4-in-1 ESC.
Yeah.
You'll have to separate out that one wire to be able to connect it to the individual ESC. But yeah, in a pinch, you could do that.
It's doable. Okay. Yep. That would definitely be something to do out in the field if something went
if you had to.
Wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, not a bad idea to have some ESCs in the bag just in case.
Kinda. Yeah.
I mean, definitely an extra 4-in-1.
Okay, let me just double check in. Yep, okay, that's the right one there. Okay, this is the motor. Let me turn it where everybody can read it here and get it up here a little closer. All right, this is an Emax 2306 2400 kV motors. These will work really good for 4S and 5S. Okay, do not run these on 6S. You will smoke the motors or you will desync on the ESCs. They will not be happy. So
5S, even 1300, I believe, is what I'm going to be running on it. I think that's what they were.
Yeah, that'll be just fine.
5S13s, yep.
Yep, that'll be just fine. Because that is what I am running for my 5 and 7 inch. But there's the motors, as you can see. Got nice little Emax symbols. If we can do it without the glare, 2306.
I like the matte black. I like the matte black. It's my favorite color.
Yep, 2306. And they are the freestyles.
Freestyle.
Okay, so those are the motors. Okay, so I'll set that there. The VTX is the low end ones because it's Matty and he's going to be breaking things. So I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. This VTX is a 200 milliwatt VTX. It's 32 channels and it is dip switch control. He will not have control of it through the goggles or anything. You'll just select which channel you want, look at the chart, flip the dip switch to that spot, and that's the channel it will be on, and it will just be going 200 milliwatts the whole time.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Bob Casey's trying to sleep, and I got him freaking wired and hooked to all of this. Okay. All right, so there's that.
I'm telling you, Bob, that's the whole reason we're doing this. And you know what? I'm not just here to look at the jets.
He's learning as he's going. Yeah.
This is my quad, and I want to learn because believe it or not, I got something from a friend of mine that was built, but I want to take it apart, and me and Doc are going to look at it at spin up, and I'm going to rebuild it.
Yep.
And there is a 7-inch cruiser my friend had parts laying around, but this 5-inch is going to be my freestyle, baby. I'm excited.
Right. This is going to be the basher.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you guys all remember, I mentioned that I took the time to do some test fitting ahead of time before I decided to do the live stream. There's a reason for that, and that's to make sure everything fits in the frame. Here's where I ran into the problem.
Hi, Mel. Hi, Chris, Sunrise, Mike B, aka Drone Ranger. Welcome.
Oh, hey, guys.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yep, absolutely. Now, if you guys notice, matter of fact, let me push these kind of out of the way, except for the ESC there a little bit. Notice the camera lenses are different size. Yep. This is a Foxeer. Let me look at the name again. This is a Foxeer Razor Mini. Okay. The lens threads on both of these cameras are exactly the same. They're M12. But the lens itself, the glass itself, is totally different. This is a mini. This is a full-size frame for the camera frames. But this has a smaller lens. This has the bigger lens. This won't fit between the standoffs in the front of the quad on the CL1. So you have to be careful of that.
Yep.
On all my other quads that I have hanging on the wall, except one, that camera would fit in it. And the one it won't fit in is my Stingy V2 because it's designed for a micro camera because it's a lot shallower frame. But all my other quads, except for the Excalibur because it's got a special canopy on it, this camera will fit right in with no problem. And so will that one. It don't care. It's because the front of the frame is wide enough to accept that.
Yeah, that one thing about that CL1 frame, it is very narrow.
It's narrow in the front. Yep. And that was the catch.
In between the standoffs, very, very narrow.
So that is the reason why you before you even start building, you take the time to double check, make sure the parts you have will fit. And as long as they fit, and get to building. Get this little plug back in there so I don't lose it. Make sure you get the right one in the right end. This is for the control. Come on, get in there. There it goes. Okay. So that's an important little tidbit. This is a great camera. It's going to work just fine for anything I put it in. For most of the stuff that I fly, this camera will work just fine. So bear that in mind, guys, when you're looking at parts and deciding on what to buy and purchase and put inside the frame you're building. All right, so set that aside. That is a nice little FYI for everybody. Hey, Mike B, what's up, buddy? All right, so let's see, where are we at here? Okay, last few tidbits. Now, with every frame, there is an issue that you got to deal with. You have to be able to mount the VTX and a receiver somewhere. And most frames are kind of not really made to do it well. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So what I did was I contacted Dave over at Fly High FPV. Okay, he is a master TPU maker for all the parts for drones. If you guys have something special you want made, he can make it. Here's one little tidbit of advice, and he really appreciates it when I do this. Because I know how to engineer things. I know actually how to draw 3-view drawings, okay, for parts. And how to show all the components, how to show all the holes, dimensions, angles, radii, the whole thing. He loves it when I send him a picture of something I want him to make, because it saves him a boat ton of time figuring this stuff out. Because I've already got all of the dimensions for spacing between holes, spacing between the edges, total width, total height, total thicknesses, radiuses, the whole thing. I've got it all mapped out already because I took the time in my head to know what I want, draw it out on paper, and then I send it to him, and he just sits there and looks at my numbers and plugs it into his program, and up pops the part that I envisioned in my head. So with that, I had him make this. The CL1 frame has 20 by 20 millimeter mountings in the back. Okay, that might not focus. Let's see if we can get it focused there. There we go. So what I did was I had him make a flat plate with 20 by 20 mounting holes that has a vertical piece to where I can mount the VTX to one side and the receiver to the other side. Because in the frame, you got a big opening in the back that you got to mount all this stuff to. This is what's going to mount. This is what it's all going to mount to. So the receiver will mount with sticky tape to that side. The VTX will mount with sticky tape to that side.
Yeah,
because you can see.
I guess normally that's how it would look. Everything's just kind of double-sided tape to the frame.
Correct.
You know?
So this will then sit in the frame vertically. So that way it's mounted.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
You can hit stuff and this is going to stay put. Plus, once this is all set, I'm going to drill a little hole in the very bottom down here, and I will run a zip tie all the way around both of these. So just with one of the small zip ties, because it doesn't have to be real tight. It's just to help keep it there in case you hit something hard enough that the inertia pops the double stick tape loose. It won't let a receiver or a VTX come flying out. So that's the goal for this. Then you have to have somewhere to mount your receiver antennas and your VTX antennas. That's called a tailstock. And Here is the tailstock. I had him custom make this. Again, I sent the drawings to David. They were my hand drawings. He modified it ever so slightly because I had it set as 30 millimeters, which stuck this back a little too far, further than it needed to be. And he said I modified it to make sure that it all fits good and it's nice and solid and rigid. So the VTX antenna mount will mount here with the 2-bolt. So I will solder a piece of coax to the bottom of it. The antenna will mount to the mini UHF connector, the SMA or RPSMA, depending on how we do it. And then these 2 little holes right here and right here, well, that's for this stuff. Okay? And that's where this comes into play. So like the red stuff is a little too big. Okay? Let's try the black stuff. Winner.
I was wondering where the straws were going to come into play.
So I'll have to heat it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll have to heat this just a little bit to get it to start. And once it starts, it pushes down. David fabricated a step in the bottom of this, about 2 millimeters up from the bottom. So when I shove this all the way in, it'll stop right there and won't go all the way through. And then you take your antenna wires, feed them through this side, and they come up through this, and they're fairly well protected.
Nice.
And that's what that's for. So, any questions, guys?
Pretty slick there. Pretty slick, man.
To show you basically what it'll look like, this is the tailstock that I had designed for my Stingy V2. The tailstock for this just has just this part right here, and then these little tubes on the side, one like this and one like this to come out. But this is set up to put the GPS modules in, and I'll be getting to that. I was hoping to get it in time to do it for a spin up, but I'm not going to have time. And then, whoops, come on there, camera, get back up there. Knocking over my good stuff there. The cloth tape. There's the cloth tape. Yep. This stuff has been on this frame for over a year.
And hasn't started peeling back at all.
It is not sticky. It's not fraying.
Nope.
Nothing. And it's on all 4 arms.
Perfect.
Okay? So that's why you use that stuff. Okay? So that gives you an idea of how all this stuff goes together. All right, let's see here. What else do we need to show? I don't think there's much else to show except now to just get to it. So let me zoom this in far enough so you guys can all see it. Make sure it goes to the right spot. We'll try this one first. On their camera. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, we're about like that. Will probably work. I just gotta kind of get it just right there. Okay. There's that one. All right. So we'll do the bottom first. This is bottom for me with how I've got the camera set. So all we got to do is use the 30-watt soldering iron for this. I'm going to use my older one that has more of a flat. It has more of a flat worn tip on it because it works really good for getting on these larger flat tabs for me. The round tip is really good for a lot of things, but sometimes that little flat one is just handy as all get out trying to do some of this stuff. So we'll get this thing all plugged in. Come on there. I hate these polarized plugs. There we go. Okay. We'll let that get heating up. Any questions, guys? I mean,
no. Mel was announcing he can't go to spin up this year. That kind of sucks.
Okay, Mel, not a problem.
Yeah.
Who was telling me? Hold on. Rodney Bell. He is due to go up to Oklahoma to visit some family right before spin up. Reach out to him, Mel, and see, because I think he's going to go right by you and see if he can hook up with you guys. Yeah. Because I think he was talking about hopefully getting up to meeting up with Lloyd before coming down to spin up, because Lloyd's not going to be able to make it either. So Mama and I, if timing works out for us, I think after spin up on like Monday afternoon ish, I think we might take a drive up and go see Lloyd, check on him and Judy and see how they're doing. So because I called Lloyd yesterday and just checked on him, seeing how he was doing, and he said Judy's doing much better now. So what triggered everything, according to Lloyd, is that it's that ragweed that's up in their area, and it hit them both pretty hard. You know, Lloyd's kind of dealing with it too right now. He's got a little bit of a cold along with it. So kind of keep them in your prayers, guys, because Lloyd and Mel, man, they are good people.
Yeah.
They are good people.
Yep.
All right, so let's see here. Let's see if Mr. Soldering Iron is getting hot now. So this is where I was talking about using the 3 different size solders for doing these connections here for the motor wires. I'll be using the medium size solder because that will fit this the best way. You know, I could do it with the thin stuff, but you know how that is.
Mel said swing by over there if you go.
I'll certainly see if I can. I certainly will, Mel. I got to talk to Mama about that because we got timing issues for getting back to getting our house done. So we'll see how it all works out. Hopefully we'll have enough time to do that. Maybe if you could make your way down towards Lloyd, and we might be able to even do that. So I don't know how you and Tammy are doing health-wise. So kind of let us know. We'll see how it works out.
Yep.
All right, guys, I'm going to get my old guy glasses on because I need this to be able to see what the flip I'm doing with this stuff. Like I said, I can see all the stuff far away because, you know, when you fly a big airplane, you got to be able to see that. All right. So real quick, soldering tip number 1. Make sure you get the stuff hot enough when you're soldering, okay? A lot of people have a real issue. They'll go, okay, I got it on. Oh, okay, I don't want to get it too hot. No. Stick that darn thing on there and get it hot. Then hit it with the solder. Wait a second, and then pull it off. And that's all you got to do, and it will get it hot enough. Okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see. I better double check, make sure I know which side I want to use. Yep, that's the right side I want to use. That is motor 1. Oh, that's a little tidbit. In these 4-in-1 ESCs, the motor wires are numbered. Motor 1 is on this one. The battery connections come out the back. Motor 1 is here. Motor 2, motor 3, motor 4. So bear that in mind, because that has to do with Betaflight when you hook up the when you're doing all the motor tabs and getting them to work right. So like I said, we heat it up, get a little solder, get it hot, a little blob. And it don't take a lot, guys. I mean, but it takes a little. That.
Doesn't take too much at all.
No, but you just got to work it. You got to work it quickly, okay?
Yep.
So that way you don't overheat stuff. And try not to burn yourself also. Yeah.
That's a great tip, Doc.
Can't tell you how many soldering burns I've had over the years. So.
Oh, I'm sure.
Guys, I've been building stuff like this since the mid-70s.
Shit, I wasn't even a twinkle in my daddy's eye, man.
Your daddy might not even have been a twinkle.
Yeah, I was born in. My dad was born in 47.
Yeah. So okay. There you go.
He's been doing. Yeah, he's a Vietnam veteran.
Okay. So now those are the motor wires. So now for the battery connections, it's a little bit. I could use the same size solder for this, but I've also got this heavier solder. I'll make sure that it's. Yeah, we're good. Just wanted to make sure that it was the right stuff. But now this will take a little more heat, but you got to be careful. See these two brown things are capacitors. So you don't want to solder to fall over into it. So you just kind of got to heat it up. And this is the ground side. Okay. You just got to get enough on there to get it wet. Then this is the hot side. This chip right here is your current sensor in your OSD for sensing how many amps overall the machine is drawing. This chip is what actually senses that. Okay. Oh yeah, Joe says that's why I can't feel his fingers. Yep. Yeah, I got you, Joe.
Yeah.
I got a few spots like that.
Mel said, "Gotta work it, keep it clean, and she'll love you for it."
That's right. That's right. Okay, so that's all the soldering on the ESC, because I really don't need to do anything on the back side. These ESCs have, this particular one has solder spots on both sides. So if you needed to run the wires on one side or the other of the ESC, you can do that with this particular one. There are other types that only have the pads on one side. So keep that in mind when you guys are doing this stuff too. Yep, shunt resistor. There you go. That is the proper name for this.
Is that what the little hole was in those pads? So it solders to both sides?
No,
so
you can actually feed the wires through those tabs.
Through those tabs. Okay.
Correct.
All right, so that's why we're there.
Now this is the flight controller. Now you notice, now I'm going to hold this up here. Okay. Make sure, there we go. Nice and focused. See how tiny those solder pads are?
Good Lord.
We don't use the big soldering gun for this.
Nah.
Now also, if you notice, I have a piece of foam on here. There's a reason for that. Underneath here is a barometer. On all of your camera drones, they have barometers. Now, if you notice, some of the cheaper drones, quote unquote, air quotes, they have issues with holding altitude and position, right? Part of that has to do with the barometer. The barometers are very, very, very sensitive. Well, they're sensitive to any air movement, and it changes the barometric pressure around the sensor. To fix that, little piece of foam.
And then leave it on there.
And leave it on there.
Okay.
And that's it. That is what that is for. You can do the same thing if you have a VTX that has a microphone built into it, and you get a lot of hissing and all that when it's flying around. Take a piece of foam rubber, stick it over top of the microphone, it becomes a wind muff.
Ah.
And it knocks all the wind noise down. Same idea. Okay.
Cool.
So being this has a lot of the plug connectors for hooking up, I won't need to do too much soldering on this side. Also, you'll notice it has an arrow. This arrow denotes which way is forward. So when you mount it in the copter, that arrow needs to be facing the front.
Got it.
Okay. So now I'm going to flip it over. I've already, I didn't have to solder these up because this came out of a quad that was already set up, and this flight controller was mated to this ESC, so that way they both already talk to each other. So that's a plus for doing what we're doing tonight.
Good.
So I don't need to deal with too much of this, but just so you can see, and I'll let me get a little pointer here. I think we'll use Mr. X-Acto knife for this. All right, let me hold this out like this. On this particular flight controller, everybody can see it. You've got 5 volts, ground, and camera. This is the 3 wires that go up to the camera to power the camera and take the signal from the camera. Okay, so the camera signal comes in where it says cam. That is the input, camera in. Then on the back side, now these up here are all of your ESC wires. You've got battery voltage for the flight controller to power it. Then you got motor 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've got current sense and then ground. And that's the wires. These plug into the plug connector on the 4-in-1 ESC. On this side, you have ground, 5 volt. I think it's 5 volt. Hang on. I got to look at it. 10 volt. So you got ground, 10 volt, VTX. Okay. What that VTX is the video. That's your video signal out of the flight controller to the VTX. That is where you'll connect the yellow wire to. On the back side, you've got 5 volt. This is your signal wire to LEDs. Then you have buzzer and ground. The ground wire the buzzer wire for the buzzer is what is triggered if you have a separate buzzer, which you will have.
Yep.
Something similar to this, okay? But I'm putting in a Vi-Fly, so that way you lose the stupid thing out near the crocodiles. At least you can hear when they swallow it. Okay?
Yep.
All right. As we get up over here, this will be where the receiver will connect. And it's a little covered because I got to bring up I got to pull the foam rubber up. But you can see how it's labeled up here. You've got ground, 4.5 volt, and S-Bus. These will be the 3 pads that we're going to use for the Rxsr receiver. Okay. That just makes it very easy to do. And
can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you explain to me real quick what S-Bus is? Because I was questioned about that, and I have no idea what that means, nor do I know how to get to it on my radio.
The S in the S-Bus stands for serial, okay? Which means serial is everything in a line. So it sends the signal in continued packets.
Okay.
One after the other. I-Bus, I forget what the I stands for, but it's similar to S-Bus, but it actually has less latency, but is less popular to be used. So like FrSky, Spectrum, and Futaba, and all the other ones all use a serial-based signal, okay, to come into the flight controller. FlySky uses I-Bus. Now their signal is faster, less latency, but typically their transmitters don't transmit as far as FrSky does.
Got it.
That's really where it's at.
How much could the latency possibly be a difference? Like,
you and I will never notice it.
That's what I thought.
It's that's simple. You, me, Joe, Night Train, none of us in the chat are going to be able to tell the difference.
That close. Yep.
Now, you hand a FlySky and an FrSky rig that's identical quads to guys like Nurk,
Racer.
Pan over, heads up FPV, and say, go fly the track, they will be able to tell you, yes, this has more latency than that one.
Yep.
They can tell.
Yep.
We will never notice. Okay. So keep that in mind, guys. This is part of the game of doing this. It's all about what you want to use for what you're using it for.
So FR Sky is S-Bus.
Yes, it is serial-based signals.
My buddy was asking me if this was S-Bus, and I didn't know the answer to that, but it seemed simple enough to where he probably should have known the answer to that.
That's correct. Yeah, S-Bus is the signal.
Sorry to say it, but yeah, he probably should have known that. That's why
some guys honestly don't know it, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's just this. There's so much to this build that when you build this stuff over time, you learn it, and that's kind of the idea. So, all right, now I got to get the little bitty guy out because I need to be able to solder some small wires. We'll get to that right now. So
I'm going to be in the dark a little bit here. I'm sitting outside, but nobody's looking at me anyways.
Nope,
we're looking. We care about what's in the middle screen.
Everybody is watching what we're doing here tonight.
Hell yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do first, got to get my specs back on here. All right, so we'll get the VTX stuff set up. Okay. So on the VTX, so everybody can see it. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Focus. There we go. The plug is labeled on the front side, so you just pay attention to the wiring diagram here. So voltage is the bottom wire, then a ground, then a video. This also has a microphone into it, like I was saying before. If it has a mic, this one does not have one built into it. But if this VTX had a mic built into it, this actually has a leg for it.
So is that the FPV videos that I watch where you can hear their props revving up is because of that mic on there? That's where it's coming from. Okay.
It's coming from either a VTX that has a mic,
or
like I have the RunCam splits, and the RunCam split board has a microphone on it. So it actually takes the audio signal right there at the board where it's taking the HD signal and recording it, and it feeds it right into the HD signal right there, but then it also puts that audio out at a lower bit rate and a lower resolution to your FPV goggles, but also with an audio channel if you want to listen.
Awesome.
So that's how it works. All right. So with this, I got to look and see which way the wires go. I'm going to kind of flatten this. This is a little flat cable. Okay, so we got power, ground, and video. So
Joe says, got you streaming twice. Wish they were synced.
Streaming twice? How are we streaming twice?
I don't know. Maybe on Facebook?
I'm not streaming anywhere else but
no, that's
YouTube.
what I thought. What do you mean, Joe? I'm curious to know what he means. I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, where are you seeing me elsewhere, Joe? Unless somebody else is taking my YouTube stream and streaming it elsewhere. That'd be all right.
I don't know. It's good. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe Mike?
Good question.
Maybe Mike's doing it? No.
Maybe.
No. Not that I know of.
See, Chris, what's up? I don't know much at all. Yeah, you do. You know more than you give yourself credit for, Chris. Don't even go there. You and I spent lots and lots of hours while you were building your 5-inch.
Yeah, see, Chris says he's not technical. He wants to learn too, but he's not technical. See, neither am I, bro, but it's just a matter
well, I give him credit for this. He says, yeah, I just like flying and crashing Kai stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
He said, I'm wanting to learn too, but I'm not technical, so it's slow going. And that's how I am.
Yep.
Okay. Joe was talking about his phone compared to his PC, and yes, there is a lag.
Yeah.
There is not much, but there is
definitely a lag.
Yep.
All right, so let's see here. I'm trying to think which way to go with this, because it's better if I can make this the right length, but having extra length is always handy too. So I think we'll just do that.
Always good to have extra length, Doc.
Well, of course,
Of course, man.
Nobody ever complains about extra length, right?
Yeah, we're getting into the after hour part of the show.
Oh, dude, yeah, this is after dark, so we're all good. So let me double check.
Told you, I don't care. I know you're 2 hours behind me. I don't give a crap what time it is when we're done here. I don't care. I want to see this puppy built.
Well, we're gonna build everything that we can build tonight. I mean, we might finish it tonight. We might not. The hardest part is all the explaining, because there's so many people that have had these questions, and it's like, all right, well, let's just do a stream and explain it as we do it. You know, because I'm okay with that. You know, as long as I got somebody that can watch the chat for me, so that I can, you know, focus on what I'm doing while I talk about it.
Corey says DJI FPV Vista Air unit don't have audio to goggles. If planning to go there, don't get used to it now. And honestly, I don't really care to hear my props winding up. I'll be editing out with music anyways, so I don't really care about the audio. Most likely.
Right. Okay. So there we go. So we got that. Here's a neat little tidbit. You don't need to hold this whole stupid thing while you're doing this. Okay. Just take it.
Beep.
Melt off a little piece. Set the tube aside. That way, all you've got is a little piece to manhandle as you do this.
Perfect.
Okay? All right. So first thing we got to do is got to tin the wires.
Now, when it comes to soldering, you always have to tin both sides first, or just one side.
Well, what do you mean by tin both sides?
Like wherever the wire is going on the pad, both the pad and the wire have to be hit.
That is correct. Yes, you need to tin the wires and tin the pads that they're going to attach to. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because that's what I was going to do next. Make sure we got some good solder on here, some fresh solder.
Wow, those are so tiny.
They are tiny pads. That is why you need this tiny little soldering iron.
I'll have the wifey standing next to me holding the freaking magnifying glass, bro. And I got perfect vision.
Dude, that's what these are for.
What, the glasses?
Yes.
Well, I'm not the glasses yet, but I'm almost there. Probably.
It's to help me be able to see up really close while doing this.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to turn this a little bit.
Got to get one of those magnifying glasses like the doctors have where they swing it in front of their face to where they do their surgery. Bingo.
My father used to do that, and I used to laugh at him for it, but I now understand what it really was good for. And it was for doing really fine stuff like this. You know, it wasn't for the everyday stuff, you know, just don't need that. All right, so now I'm going to double check, make sure I'm getting the right wire again because I moved it. All right, third wire, top wire. Okay, this wire right here is the video. Okay, so then all you do when you do these, just like that.
Just a quick tap of that heat and it bonds
done
together.
That's it. Okay, now the middle wire is the ground. Okay, so that means this outside wire is the power. And this is where the blue tack comes in handy. And this is where the little tweezers come in handy. You bend the wires down so they go where you want them.
Yeah.
So let me know if I get my head in the way, because I do tend to.
No, you're good, man. You're good right now.
Oops. I keep knocking over my other camera because I keep catching up with things.
I see that.
Yeah. We'll get to it. There we go. Stay put. Stay. Obey. All right, let's try that again. And bend it down just a bit. There we go.
Looks to me like you also got to have some pretty steady hands for this.
Somewhat. I mean, you get used to what you got to do. There we go. Okay. All right. So
I got to give it to you for doing this live. You don't want to see me do this. I wouldn't do this live.
Why not?
I'd be nervous as shit, Doc.
Why?
Why?
I mean, it's just, this is what you do. This is how you do it. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. You know what I mean?
It's just natural flow, I guess. It just happens.
This is how you do it. So.
Oh, that's the plan. Getting there.
Okay, so this is the receiver wires. That goes to this.
Larsco FPV is in, said, what's up, Doc?
Hey, Ephraim! That is my buddy from California, man. He is sponsored by, I forget how many places now. God, I can't even keep track of how many.
Cool.
D-Quad for one. I think, I forget who the motor one is. Him and Cheese FPV. They both got sponsored, man. Ephraim got a chance. He got sponsored to go to the Rotor Riot event out
sweet,
in,
man.
guy.
Let me jump on. Let me jump on YouTube real quick and sub him up real fast.
Oh yeah, Larsco FPV.
There he is. Got him.
Heck yeah, man. He is so fun to fly around. We had some fun flying around a big old crane when I was out there the last time.
Nice.
We got some good video of that.
Just got him.
All right, so we got that. Let's see here. I think where else I need to go with this at the moment. See, we got this camera comes with this connector here, so we're good there. So that will plug into that. The ESC plugs into this. Okay. The VTX is plugged into this.
Mikey, Fly Zone in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Mikey. What's up?
What's up, brother? About time you got in here, boy.
Yeah, kind of late to the show here. You missed some of the fun.
Where you been, man?
All right, so the only thing I need to connect here then is the actual receiver then. Okay, so...
Johnny said, is that my drone being built? Yeah, Johnny, it might be. Yeah,
it might be. We'll see. You know, you never know.
I'm flying it first, though.
Absolutely.
This is going to be my ripper, man.
Yep.
I'm going to have
we've been planning to do this for like weeks, and my work schedule has been awful.
Back and forth. I've been tied up with the kids and Mr. Mom stuff, and you've been tied up with work. So, but.
Oh, and I just wanted to let everybody know, Maddie knows, and a few others in the chat know, but Ephraim, Friday is my last day. I am retiring.
Yeah, so buddy.
Friday will be my last day of work, and I will be full-time doing this and a few other things for money. So that will be for me. So I won't have to be working for somebody else anymore. So that will be my second retirement.
One Vision. Brother Gable, what's up, buddy? Welcome in.
Hey, Dustin.
All right, got a cool crowd tonight, Doc. Good stuff, man.
Absolutely. These guys, yeah. I mean, and honestly, I'm doing this not so much for the FPV guys that are already flying FPV. It's more for like Johnny, Mike, Joe, you know, who else? One Vision. All these guys that are camera guys that are really interested, thinking, do I really want to do this or not? And it's not that hard, guys. It really isn't. You know, we're going to take some time and do this, but once you understand that there's only a certain number of connections and they all go in one spot, you just have to pay attention to grab the right wire and put it on the right pad. And that's it. Hey, JSK.
JSK.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We are, we're having
for anybody new into the chat here, this is frame that Doc gave me at the Florida drone meetup, and I do not know how to build, so I sent this frame back to him, and he is building this quad for me. Hence the reason I'm on here with him, because I'm learning. And then it's going to be sent back, and then I'm going to start ripping the crap out of this thing, and
that's it, man.
Get video out of it.
Gonna be beating the living daylights out of it.
Yep, I am. That's the plan.
All right. What I think I'm going to do right here is I'm going to wait to put the receiver on, because the receiver has just this big old freaking long set of wires. We don't need that much extra wire for the receiver setup. So I'll wait to solder this one on until after we get this mounted in the frame. Okay, so with that, I'll get this 5-volt soldering iron out of the way. We'll just set it over to the side. I'm going to leave the big one still plugged in. It's still plugged in, hanging over here on the wall. I don't know if everybody can see what I do with all of this. And we might do that afterwards. I'll show how I set some of this stuff up. All right. So now that you can see, let me back this out just a little bit. Overhead. Okay. So this is the flight controller. It's going to sit like this in the quad. This is the front. Camera will plug onto here. The 4-in-1 ESC will mount under it, so the flight controller will mount over the top. Then this plug here is what plugs into the flight controller right there, or into the ESC. So once I get the ESC mounted, then I'll mount up the power wires, which is this pigtail right here, already made up, and it will go like this because that's how it's supposed to go, and it'll just feed out to the side and be zip tied to one of the standoffs, and that's how we'll do that.
Got it.
Let's see here. What's One Vision saying? He says, I attempted to get parts to build a few, drove to Kentucky to meet the guy, got screwed. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, he told me about that. It was a pretty crappy situation.
Yep, absolutely.
Sergio, welcome in, buddy.
But this is how this is all going to work. You know, the VTX, the wires are on the side, so it'll just kind of feed around the side and go to the back here. You know, we'll mount it up. It'll probably mount up something like this or like this, depending on which way is the right way for the dip switches. So that way when Matty looks at the dip switch and he wants to change channels, he's looking at them from right side up, because you can get completely confused on that. So bear that in mind too.
Yep.
So the receiver then will mount on this side right about here, and then these wires will go, they'll solder to the bottom side of the flight controller right about there. So with that, we'll take all these parts, set them aside for the moment, and get the blue tack off the table. You can go right there. All right. Clean off a little bit. I don't see my pencil anywhere. Where is my pencil? Nope. Pencil somewhere. Oh, well, that'll be all right.
Oh, all right. Johnny, you're so sweet. Matty is not a dipshit. You're such a nice guy. Look at him. He's so sweet. He's being a smartass too, is what he's doing.
He can be dipped though.
Dip switch. There you go.
He can be dipped. So, all right. For the guys that haven't seen it yet, this is the CL1 frame. Now, mind you, I did pre-install 3 of the motors and 3 of the arms. They are just lightly mounted in here, and the reason for that is it has a doubler plate on the bottom that I got to fit the 4th arm through. So this needs to be loose enough so that I can feed it in, so that all the screws can all go through the holes. Same with the motor, you know, it's being mounted to the arm. So we've got all of that over here. So let me back the camera out just a little bit to make it a little easier to see all of this. There we go. Okay. Move that camera back. All right. Now these arms go on only one way. Okay. You notice they've all got a little bumper, and they all face in the correct direction. If you tried to put this bumper on, you know, this arm on like this, it won't fit. The holes won't line up on the frame to mount. So, lost Matty. All got interrupted. I am going to have to try to get Matty back in. All right, hang on, Matty. Hang on. Let me call you back, Matty. Yeah. All right, give me a second. Come on there. There we go. All right. The wonders of all this fun stuff. There we go. Lost you there for a second, Matty.
Yeah, it disconnected on me, but now I don't see my picture.
Yeah, give me a second. I got to get you into the right spot here.
Jesus, sorry about that.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good. I just got to shrink me so I can hit the right buttons. There we go. All right, you're back.
Perfect. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Silly ass computer.
All right. So the mountings are specific to the frame. So this is a mounting hole and that's a mounting hole. If I tried to mount this like this, they don't line up. So you got to make sure that they all go the correct direction when you mount them up. So they just slip in like this. Now I've got all the screws and mounting bolts and all that all set aside in here. So get those going here. Set these aside. I just got to remember which ones are which. And this comes with all of this. So you guys, these are all the standoffs for the frame, for the top and bottom plates. These are the front standoffs. These I already pre-installed the camera mount tabs that just slip over the standoffs, and these will screw onto the camera when we put those on. So we'll put all those up there out of the way. So we'll get these screws out. So I should only have 2 screws that are the right length for that.
Doc, what FC? Mikey wants to know what FC we put on there again.
This is the let's see if I don't remember if it's got the name on it or not. I gotta look it up if it doesn't. Yeah, the name's not on it, but it has the Speedy Bee. It's like a Speedy Bee flight controller. I can actually look that up real quick.
Yeah, I like the color too. The Johnny, a standoff is those little poles that go in between the top plate and the bottom plate.
Correct.
I answered something. What's up?
PDB flight controller.
And Mikey, the ESCs are 4-in-1.
Yeah,
20 amp?
4-in-1, 30.
30 amp.
4-in-1, 30 amp.
God, I'm sorry for how bad my video feed is, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
It's okay. It's doing better than others I've seen.
It's on my phone or my tablet, it's perfect. But when I get on the laptop, it's weird.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Okay, let's see here. Got to look for the older version of this. Yeah, I'm not finding it right off the top. I will dig that up because we're probably going to do this in 2 streams is the way it's looking time-wise.
Yeah.
But we'll get the main parts of this together tonight where everybody can see it and see how this all assembles. Yeah, I'm not finding it right real quick with a quick search. So
no worries.
I'll dig it up. I actually have a picture of the ESC because that's going to be handy. So, yeah, we'll get to that. All right. So I will get that for you guys. So I'll put that in the next stream for all of that. Here's that little Vi-Fly Lost Quad Finder. It comes with power wires. What this does, this will solder onto the buzzer pad and the 5-volt and the ground. And the 5-volt and the ground charges the battery while it's flying. Then when you unplug the battery, this will start to beep. You then have to plug the battery back in, wait until the ESCs do their tones, and then unplug, and it shuts this off. So it's one extra step, plugging in and unplugging, plug it in, and then unplug it again. And that will take care of it.
When I'm done flying. It'll also come in handy when I crash and the battery goes flying off.
Yep. Especially when that gator comes up from the creek, you know, and snatches it out of the air.
Oh, you bet your ass I'll be flying in the Everglades.
Holy smokes, guys, man. I've seen a few of them videos. Wow.
Oh, you bet I'll put this thing over the Everglades. As long as it doesn't crash over water, I'm good.
Yep, that's right. Okay. Put the arm on. There were only 2 screws left in the set that are long enough to do this. They get fed up from the bottom. As you notice, all of the arms have the pads already on them. Okay, I did that on purpose. All of the arms, the motor arms, the bolts go through this doubler plate, through the arms, and into press nuts that are in the bottom plate of the frame. And you just kind of got to wiggle them, line them up. Wiggle them, line them up. With the appropriate tool, which is what this is for.
Believe it or not, when I had this frame put together at the house before I took it apart and sent it back, I had to YouTube how to put it together.
Oh, yeah.
It was not as easy as I thought it was when I first looked at it.
Yes, thank you. I got a special delivery.
Hi, Chloe.
Say hi, Chloe.
Hey!
We are live. We are live right now. Okay?
What's up, Mini Doc?
Yep, she's my Mini Doc. So she will be at Spin Up, guys. So
yes,
make
she
sure
will.
When you guys all get to Spin Up, everybody that's coming, make sure you come up and say hi to the youngins. They will be there. So
I'm bringing my kids.
Be in something special.
Yep.
we come to the
don't. Can't say what it is. Shh, it's a secret.
Chloe, I'm also bringing my daughters with me too. So my daughter's your age.
All right. We shall see you later.
They're going to have some fun.
We are going to have a blast. Everybody that's coming to Spin Up, guys, if you can't come to Spin Up, watch online. It's going to be a blast. Many of us, when we do Spin Up after, because we'll do what we call Spin Down the day after Spin Up. Most of us are going to go out and go flying.
That we are.
Many of us are going to try and live stream while we're doing it.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay?
Yep.
So keep that in mind. So don't feel bad if you can't make it. It's fine. Just watch online and watch all the guys' YouTubes that are going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
It will be a blast, guys. Okay?
By the way, anybody that has a ticket and that cannot go, you're still eligible for all the giveaways and a T-shirt and all that good stuff too. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. All right. So we're at the point now. I haven't tightened anything up. One thing that you'll find with most 5-inch frames, and especially the squish decks ones, where the distance between the front motors and the back motors are less than the distance between the right and the left motors. Okay? They will tend to get very close with the prop tips. So what you have to do with this stuff is make sure on those ones that the arms, when you put it together, you make sure you kind of give it a little oomph to squeeze the two back arms away and the two front arms away to give just that little bit of extra room between the prop tips.
Before you tighten.
Before you tighten, especially if you're going to run 5.1-inch props. They will get close. Okay? So bear that in mind. For what we're doing here, this is a true X. So what you want to do is actually the opposite. You want to make sure that the two front motors are pushed out away from the center of the quad, and the two back motors are pushed out away from the quad. The reason for that is so that the prop tips don't get too close to the standoffs right and left, and the standoffs right and left. So we'll just, all I do is I grab it, I just put my thumb between it and just give it a little tension and snug it and snug it. And then this one I push away, just snug it, and he gets snuggy. Same thing with this one, just do it to all four arms. So that way everything will sit far enough away from the prop tips. Okay, and then once those are done and they're all snugged up, they're not going to move. So one nice part about carbon fiber, guys, is that once you snug stuff up, it ain't going to move on you. So there's enough friction in the material, even though it feels super smooth, it'll hold.
Yeah, gotta love carbon fiber.
Yep. There we go. Okay, so that takes care of the arms. Now we got to get this motor mounted. Okay, so being we're using a 4-in-1 ESC, that's why I left all of the motor wires long. The one thing you got to be careful of when you do motors, and let me zoom in here so you guys understand this. All right. Okay, there we go. You see how close those motor wires are, the windings?
Wow.
To the top of the actual mounting plate on the bottom. You do not want the screws to go up and hit those and short between the motor winding and the screw, because carbon fiber is conductive and it will
that would
ground
suck.
out. You will burn a motor up. So keep that in mind when you're putting these together like this. You want the right size screws for the right size motor, motor arms and mounting plate. Make sure it fits. Okay? So that means you got to do a little test fitting ahead of time. Like I said, I took the time, ahead of this to make sure that I got the right size screws for all of this. And it does come with like 2 different sizes, but being I've done this for a while, I got like bins of screws in case I needed them. So
yeah, those are always good to have.
Oh, yes. All right, so let me find those 4 screws. Make sure I got them sitting in here right. There we go. Got those in the baggie right here. These particular ones are for 4mm thick arms, and these actually come in the Emax motor box. You get 3mm, screws for 3mm arms and screws for 4mm arms. Sometimes you need longer screws if you have like the frame that man, I am drawing a blank tonight. Getting tired. Mr. Steel runs the Apex. It has 5mm arms, so you're going to need longer screws. So bear that in mind when you go to do some of this. Each frame will be different. Just take that into account for your frames. Like my DRL practice rig has 6mm arms. So does my my America frame.
Mikey's mentioning something about the plastic covers on the bottom, and no, Mike, we don't have them for this. I'll probably add them, maybe, but I don't think I'm gonna need them.
In all the flying I've done, I've never used them.
No, I mean they look cool. Don't get me wrong; they definitely look cool, but you never know. I might get some to match the color of the props or something, but that's just a necessity I don't need. So
right. So what I did was I put one screw in and got it started, and I had to do that up close because I was trying to hold everything. And then you just put the screws in, just get them started. That way all 4 screws are in. Now I'm putting all 4 screws in. Oftentimes on a lot of my frames, I will only run 2 screws. Now that is a point of contention for some people. Here's the thinking process behind it. If I crash and I strip a motor mounting screw, I can then go get another screw, put it in one of the other holes that have never been used. They have fresh threads. Versus having all 4 screws in it, hitting it, stripping a screw. Well, you didn't strip just one at that point then. You stripped 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's food for thought. It's one of those things. I think if you're going to be racing hard or flying hard in concrete jungles, put all 4 screws in. Your motors will last longer. If you're going to be flying over mostly dirt, grass, trees, it's a wash. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to give all these motors a good tug. Make sure the motors are mounted all good. Now you notice I did not put any Loctite on any of these.
Nope.
You don't need it, honestly. You just don't need it. The only screw that you want to put Loctite on, you can see it down in there. These motors have, let's see if I can tilt it just right. There is a screw right down in there that holds the motor bell on to the armature. Yep. That screw you want a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of Loctite on, okay? Because that keeps this part from flying off the quad.
Yep.
Okay? So keep that in mind, guys. I actually had one do that. I had one of the screws come loose when I lost a motor bell on the DRL rig.
Mr. Bojack says that might be too much drone, sir. Well,
it might be.
I flew this one today, and I did just fine.
Yep. It's surprising, Bojack, the larger the quad gets to a point, it actually gets easier to fly. Because all of the motions that the quad make are less twitchy, I guess is the best description. It's less pronounced. So it's a little smoother. FPV pilots don't crash. They have unscheduled landings.
Yeah, I like that. Luckily for me, I picked it up pretty quick, and I put a lot of stick time in. I really do. I mean, I fly like this. I fly this thing daily.
Yep.
Daily.
All right, here comes the next tidbit, guys. Again, we're going to use a 4-in-1 ESC, okay, to do all of this. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of this wonderful handy-dandy heat shrink tube. We're going to find the right size, which I think probably be this one. And this is just for aesthetics, to make it look a little cleaner. Or when Maddie goes crashing into the swamp.
Yeah, I like those anyways.
Now I gotta make sure that this fits the way I want it to fit. Yep, there we go. That's what I want. So I have to slip it all the way up onto the heat shrink that's already here. So if you can see that, I pushed it all the way up onto the existing heat shrink. That way I could have room for the wires to move out over here.
And no exposed wire on the arms.
Pretty much.
That's always
what
good.
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch this out just a tad bit more to push it up there more. Okay, now here's a little tidbit. How do you make heat shrink tube that's this size go over something bigger than it already is?
You stretch it with the pliers? Can't you stretch it?
Stretch it with the pliers. Go like this. And that's what you do.
Third eye view, Rob. What's up, brother Rob?
Hey, Rob.
And we is live.
Yes, we are live. We've been live for, how long have we been live for?
I
don't see it up here.
Actually, I'll tell you right now. Probably about an hour 38, something like that.
We'll probably go 2 hours tonight. We'll get as far as we can in 2 hours, and then we'll pick this stream up again, probably in a few days, maybe this weekend, because I have scheduled things that I got to do for the house, and me and I am retiring on Friday. There's a few things that I need to get done for that, so that'll probably be the case. So we'll probably do it either Saturday or Sunday. Okay, Sunday evening. All right, next tidbit. Got to have lighter, guys.
Yep.
All the guys that use all these wonderful, fancy, dancy, handy, little heat guns and all that, and all the purists, you can all get your hankies out now. Okay? Use a damn lighter. Good Lord.
It worked for me when I fixed my Tiny Hawk.
All you got to do is take it like this. Hold it up away from the arm. Okay, guys? Just hold it up away from the arm. Just go like this.
Run it down.
Take your time. Now you notice I'm making sure that the wires stay flat inside. So that way it'll sit flat when I zip tie it down. Go. Just like that. Okay, that makes a nice clean little thing right there where all three wires are contained. I'll be able to put some zip ties around it, little black zip ties, and it'll be all good to go. Okay, so we'll do this on all four motors.
Now, instead of zip ties, could you also use that tape that you were talking about?
Yes, absolutely, you can. Okay, so for you, Maddie, though, zip ties will work the best. For now,
yeah.
Okay, because if you do crash, it takes all of 2 seconds to clip a zip tie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pull a motor, put a motor. So for me, like you've seen, I run individual ESCs.
Yeah.
So I wrap the individual ESCs in that tape. So and that's how I do it. So.
Okay, so your ESC is underneath
that
Dustin.
Tape. Yeah, Dustin just noticed. You guys notice the shirt?
Quadfather. Good looking shirt.
Yeah. I thought it was an apropos shirt for tonight. So.
Yeah, fabric tape, Bob. That's what I was talking about.
Yes, the fabric tape. Yeah.
That's me dinging.
Hang on.
If that's what you were asking.
It's this tape right here, Rob. It's. See if I can get a little closer. See?
Yep. That's
good stuff, guys.
Greg, Harley FPV, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Harley! Looking forward to seeing you at Spin Up here soon.
Yeah, man. Can't wait. 2.5 weeks away, guys.
Yes, sir.
So exciting.
Let's see here, get this one here. 22 more sets to go, guys.
DeMarco, FSU grad. What's up, buddy?
Hey, DeMarco.
Is Drone Nation just now finishing up? No way.
No,
they've been off for a while.
Yeah.
No, they've been off for a while. That would have been a record.
They rarely go more than an hour. I mean, hour and a half tops.
Yeah, they had like they had 3 guests on tonight, so that's why they went a little over.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to use a different pair of pliers because I don't need to. I just need the end to be a little bit bigger. See how I do that, guys? So you use the pliers, put it in, and then squeeze it outward to stretch it because it needs to fit over something that's bigger than its original size.
Marco said, "Are you taking notes, Maddie?" Yeah, I am. Plus, this live stream is my note.
Yep, this
I
live
can watch
stream
this
will
live
be
stream
on
as
the
much as I
channel
want.
forever. Yep.
Yep.
That is the goal. Okay, so we got the wires in there like that. Make sure that's up there. This all heated down. The other thing you got to watch out for, burning your fingers.
Yeah, well, trust me, I'm a smoker, so I'm used to it.
Yeah,
and trust
cigars.
me, I have a lighter in my pocket at all times, so that's one thing that never goes away.
I actually carry 3.
Do you really?
Yes,
are you like the big what do they call them things? Those no, those the lighters. Zippos.
No.
Are you a Zippo guy?
Nope. This
just
is
a regular Bic.
Bics.
Yep, that's
Mini
what
Bics.
I do. Just the Bic.
I have found that these work the best.
Yeah.
Because when they stop working, they're empty. Where a regular Bic, you got to fuss with that little flipping thing in here that doesn't always work.
The little dial. Yeah.
Yeah, it hardly ever works right. So I use the mini Bics. I carry 2 to 3 with me all the time. So, because it has saved my bacon a few times.
Let me apologize ahead of time for my phone dinging in the background. Joe Blaylock just texted me and he said, "Is that your phone?" I keep looking at my phone thinking,
yeah.
My bad, Joe. I should have put it on silent.
Well, here's the nice part too, guys. Once this is finished, as far as the build is concerned, and it's all programmed up and ready to go, which it for the most part is already programmed because it came out of a 5-inch build.
Yep, pretty much.
I will be able to, through an NDI source, take my iPhone outside. I'll have the Wi-Fi hold the iPhone in a in a phone holder on a tripod, and we will be able to show you this thing fly live for the first time, and we'll just do it live. So. Because that's always kind of cool to be able to do.
Oh, yeah. Harley FPV says, "Doc, I'm in need of a few of your antennas."
Okay. Well, that is going to be a live stream all in itself on how to build antennas. So I'm going to show everybody how to do it. All right. There we go. So you notice the heat shrink stops short, which allows the wires still to come and turn and do what they need to do, but makes the wires more rigid along the arms, which makes for a better, cleaner build. Okay. So next thing, zip ties.
I put it on silent. Nice try, Joe.
Was he trying to ding you?
He's texting me, ding, ding. And now I'm going to get one from Dustin Gable, probably. Ding, ding.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on silent. That is, I'll tell you what, and nowadays all the notification sounds and everything sound the same when I'm standing in line at the store and somebody's goes off. I'm constantly reaching into my pocket.
Yep. All right. Now here's a little tidbit. Which way is the frame going right now?
Right now,
it's a good question.
It looks like it's facing up. No, I'm sorry. It's facing down.
Nope, you were right the first time.
No, I was right the first time because those are the two front.
Here's how you can tell. Because remember, I said that the back of the quad has
the flight controller setup.
Well, no. The back of the quad has 20mm mounting holes in the back.
Yep.
There's the 20mm mounting holes. So this is the back. Okay. So that means this is the front.
Those 20mm are for that TPU piece you got, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let me grab it real quick. So this piece right here is going to mount right there. So I got to look where the holes are. Yeah, it's going to mount just like that. And that's how that will mount in the frame, like that, to hold the receiver and the VTX. Okay. So that is it.
Right. DeMarco asked.
Yes.
He's asking. The quad is a 5-inch CL1 Rotor Riot frame.
That is correct.
And it's he's building it for me, DeMarco.
Yep. Yep. The motors are 2306 by 2400 kV. So this is specifically a 4 to 5S motor. All right, unless you want to run a throttle limit and run 6S. I wouldn't recommend that because if you're going to run 6S, get motors that are for 6S.
Which are lower kV, correct?
Which are lower kV. Yep.
Okay.
It will be around 1900 kV.
Got it.
So.
Yeah, I've already stocked up on 5S batteries for this bad boy, so
yep,
we good.
Yep, that is it. All right. So now that we know this is the front and this is the back, you have to kind of decide how you want it. This is where some of the more subtle things come into play, like zip ties. All right. Do you put the zip tie like this with the tang sticking up? Do you put it with the tang sticking down? Do you put it with the tang, sitting backwards? It's all personal preference on this, guys. So whichever you're more comfortable with.
I would say put the tang down because it has bumper feet on the bottom of it already.
That's right.
So they wouldn't hit the ground.
Right.
And they're not visible from above.
And they're out of the way of your fingers when you're grabbing the dumb thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that typically is how I do it as well. I usually put them, feed them from underneath, and I run the zip ties down. So being that this already has bumper feet on it,
yep,
I'm going to put one right behind the first one, like that. I'll put the second one just in front of it. And just take the pliers, give them just a little snug. Don't get crazy doing this. If you put too big of zip ties on these and you wrench down on it tight enough, you can actually get the motors to act funny because you're pinching the casing and getting the wires, the actual physical wires, close enough that they'll start interacting.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is a 3-phase DC motor, which means it's pulsing the signal. Anytime you pulse DC, it's still an AC signal, okay? And any AC signal, when you put another wire close enough to it, it's going to pick that signal up. And then it's going to feed into itself, and that's when the motors act funny, okay?
Gotcha.
Keep that in mind, guys. That's just a little tidbit of electronics for you, okay? So now comes the fun part. That's where these flush cut pliers are good.
Yeah, I bought me a little set I bought that little 9-piece set State Quads. It's got that in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good little tool set.
So there you go, guys. That is how we're going to do this build. Okay? We're not going to use the cloth tape this time on this because we put the wires inside of the heat shrink tube, zip tied them down. That keeps them from getting anything underneath of it, prop hitting it. This works good. So, yeah, there you go. So let me get the other 3 arms done. And we'll make sure we put these to the back. So that way these are all to the back. And then when I do these arms, they'll be to the back also. So that way they're not in the front. And that's more just for aesthetics.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea too. My train puts zip ties on bumpers. That would also be an idea. To keep them from flinging off on you when you're coming down on the ground, because they are just double-sided tape holding them on there.
Yeah, you could, but they're cheap,
Oh yeah.
And as you go, you'll find that you'll tear them off less and less.
Yep.
Unless you're a crazy bando flyer and are in concrete all the time. then you're going to tear them off all the time. At that point, that's when you don't want to run these. You want to run the TPU bumpers on the bottom of the arms, and then they act as your bumper. They will be your skid plate, okay, at that point. So, okay. And I build messy, guys, so just kind of bear with me on that. When I put stuff together, man, I just go zip, 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 and I'll end up with a pile of tools and stuff all around me. So, but it does. It takes a little time to build, and it takes longer to do it this way.
Well, you're doing a teaching session, you know, for me and for anybody that's going to watch. You got to understand, there's going to be viewers that are going to watch this after the live stream is over, and you know, it's a good learning experience, especially for somebody like me. You know, the quad is coming to me, so I do need to know what I'm doing when it comes time to fixing and whatnot. So
that's right. So, and you're seeing how I'm putting it together, to where if you're like, well, wait a minute, how did he put that together? And you can actually go back, look the live stream up, zip through it until you see the area where I was working on it, and then go, okay, now I remember. And then you'll be able to put it together again, you know, and fix it. That's kind of the intent for this stream. But it's also to help others that have questions.
Absolutely.
So if you guys have any questions, please ask. I don't care what they are about the quad. Ask. Maddie will field the question, and I'll do my best to answer it to the best of my ability.
Corey says his bumper is his battery. He's bottom mounted.
you know what? My Excalibur's that way.
Yep.
So, and that's how that quad is designed, and I'm okay with that. So, but for all of my freestyle stuff, for the most part, they're top mounted.
Top end, yeah.
You know, and that's just the way they are.
You know what? Third Eye brought up he ordered some TPU bumpers from Etsy for his Tiny Hawk 2 freestyle, and you know, I saw those. And they also have a 3D printed part that you put on the top plate that your battery slides into, so your batteries don't fly off on you when you crash.
Yeah.
And they're actually pretty cool little part, and they're relatively cheap. I was actually thinking of putting those on my little Tiny Hawk freestyle.
Okay,
not a bad idea.
Here's the tidbit to that. It is a Tiny Hawk freestyle. It is tiny.
Yep.
It is light.
So adding weight, yep.
The more weight you add to it, the not so good it flies.
Yep.
So that's what you have to keep in mind when you're doing that, okay? Let's see here. Do you need to run a capacitor with 5S? Yes and no. Honestly, I have my Stingy has one. See here. I gotta look and see. I don't remember off the top of my head. Looking inside the frame right now. My DRL Racer has one. My America frame does not have one, and my Excalibur does not have one, and my Martian 2 does not have one. So it's about a 50-50 split. So, you know, and some of these are running 4S. Some are running 5S. I've got one that I run 6S on. The one that's 6S, I do have one on it, but it's more, not so much for spikes, but more just for cleanliness as far as a clean power coming in.
Yeah.
All my small stuff doesn't have any capacitors on it. Works fine. And some of that's 4S. So it's a 50-50 split whether you need one or not. Try it without. And if you're good, you're good.
Yep.
If you try it without and something acts funny, put one on. Or if you get, you know, bad video issues, you know, or you get power issues, put one on. Because that's part of that problem. You might even have to add a second one somewhere else down the line for the power for the VTX if that's the case. So, yeah, it's kind of a 50-50. A lot of the stuff has gotten so good that you actually don't need it a lot of times. So,
are you reading that?
Just skimming through it real quick.
Slightly off topic.
Night train, yeah. Some of it is center of gravity issues. Absolutely.
Oh, there's Chris put a question in there.
Where's he at? I'm looking
I
for
have
him.
Slightly off-topic question. Can you think of any reason why, when changing the VTX frequency from A1 to E2, the goggle view is completely gone? We couldn't find the video on E2 or anywhere.
Ooh, that's interesting. Off the top, I don't know. Make sure that the VTX is transmitting on E2 first. So check it with another pair of goggles. Make sure that another pair of goggles is picking it up on E2.
Yeah.
If it is, then the one that's not picking it up on E2, either it's not switching to the correct channel, or the video receiver in it has an issue. So food for thought on that one. You know, got to do a little troubleshooting there.
I like to run all of mine on the same channel. That way I don't have to.
That is what I do.
I run them on race band 4, so I don't have to keep switching my goggles every time I change a quad.
I run all of mine on F5. So it's center band. It's 5800. So, all right, time to put some electronics in this thing. What did I do? There it is. Okay. This is the front of the quad. This is the back of the quad, because this is where the 20 by 20 standoffs are. This is the ESC. Motor 1 is here. This is motor 1. So it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The ESC is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you want to lay it out. Because that's how Betaflight sees it, as 1, 2, 3, 4 when you program it. Okay. All right. So let's see. I got one more screw to put in the frame. Let me find it here.
Yeah, that's a good question. Chris, make sure, the VTX is even unlocked.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's another issue with some of the VTXs.
Yep.
Again, that's why I tend to use VTXs, and I don't hook up the signal wire for running it on the UART, and I manually change the channels.
Yep.
That way I know I get my channel. So, all right. So last thing I got to put in here, again, remember I said earlier in the stream that I pre-assembled this, pre-fit everything to make sure that I have the right size screws, right standoffs, right this, right that, right lengths of everything to make this work. So this is the last little piece. This is one of the screws that came in the kit that will mount to the ESC to hold it in place. So, and it fits through one of these holes. Now this particular frame has 20 by 20 and 30.5 by 30.5.
Yeah,
we're using the 30.5 by 30.5 frame. So that's what all of the stuff on this particular build is going to be. So I'll put that up through there. I'm using just standard 3mm hex nuts to hold this standoff. If I can get the thing to get on there. Come on there. Come on. Got to talk to it real nice sometimes. Other times you just want to beat the living tar out of it, melt it with a torch.
Please don't melt that one.
I have melted a few things with torches. So
been there, done that. Set it on fire. Bye-bye.
I also have a 16-pound, 8-pound sledgehammer.
Yep, those work too.
Well, no. Did you hear the words I used?
8 pound, 10 pound.
It's a 16-pound, 8-pound sledgehammer.
16 pound, 8 pound. I don't get it. Am I missing something?
The sledgehammer head is only an 8-pound sledgehammer. It originally had a wood handle on it.
Oh, you added a bigger handle to it.
I put a solid stainless steel 1 1/16" round bar handle to it and welded it to it because I got tired of replacing handles.
Nice.
Now it weighs 16 pounds.
Nice.
The thing hits like a dead blow.
Yep, that would break my little arms.
It fixes everything. So you can think about why it fixes everything. I know that one kind of went over your head. It fixes everything because you break it to the point that it can't be repaired. You throw it away and get it.
Yeah, right. Chris didn't know if it was unlocked. Somebody else's quad wants to know how a safe way to frequency to change it to. I know they have a table that shows the unlocked frequencies. for locked quads, for locked VTXs.
Yep.
They have a table that you can see that has that. If they're locked, it has certain channels.
That's right.
And you just switch to any one of those channels.
Yep.
Or tell the dude to unlock the damn VTX. One of the two.
Well, there's another way to do it too, and that is to take the UART wire and desolder it from the flight controller and manually change the channel.
There you go.
If you change the channel via the buttons, you will get to all the channels.
Yep.
If it's plugged into the UART, the VTX will sense that it is plugged into a UART, and it will act locked. So,
yep.
So yeah, there you go. All right, so now we get to mount this. Okay. So the way this is going to mount, you got four standoffs. The ESC just fits all the way down on here, and then put your finger on it, and you have to look down through it and make sure that the ESC does not hit something in there, which it does. So when you do that, it's hitting these screws right here, which are the arm screws. So what we will have to do is we will have to dig up some washers.
Yep.
Which I happen to have a bin full.
Hey, look at that.
And this is why
it's almost like you're prepared.
This is why you get stuff. All right. So we do that.
Rubber washers?
These are actually nylon washers. They're about 1 millimeter thick. Okay. And you start there. And if that's enough, that's all you need.
If not, you go get more.
If not, you go to the next size thicker. Yep. Or add a second washer.
Yep.
So you only put on what you need to get it to clear. Okay. Because you got to bear in mind, you still have to screw something to the top of this. So you don't want to take up too much of this thread and make it to where you can't mount anything else to it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is really, really, really close.
All
right. So I'm still not liking where it's at. It's like right there. And I don't want to take the chance on that hitting.
Chris,
So,
Emax VTXs come locked, buddy. If it was a Nano Hawk, they all come locked. And it's very easy to unlock them.
So there you go.
Yeah. You have to unlock the Tiny Hawks and Tiny Hawk Freestyles. It's kind of goofy, but that's what they do.
All right, so we are going to have to do something here to make this work. So we're going to have to take these center screws out, and what's happening is, and I'll zoom into it here so everybody can see what the issue is. Get down here close enough. All right. What it is see those 4 screw heads right there?
Mm-hmm.
They are sticking through about 1 millimeter past the press nut. When I put the ESC down on it, the electronics on the bottom of the ESC, these chips right here, come on there, focus.
Oh.
These chips right here are just touching.
Yeah, that's not good.
With the washer, okay? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take these 4 screws. Oops, knocked my camera over again. Get up there. I'm going to have to take these 4 center screws out, and I'm going to have to grind the screws down just a little bit. And I have a small little, it's not a die grinder, but it's, what do you call it? It's like a engraver style, but it's a grinder.
Oh,
Oops,
that's pretty cool.
way.
Nice to have.
It's a little Dremel style.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is definitely another handy little tool. You can do this with a file. So like if you wanted to, like I could take it right now, tuck these wires down out of the way, okay, so you don't cut them, okay. So you could just tuck the, come on, get down there. Cooperate. All right, there we go. I could do it like this, all right. I could pull these 4 screws out as well, and then spend some time with a bastard file.
Yeah.
Okay, and you would just take it and you would just literally go straight across it just like this. Everything's gonna shake, guys, sorry. It's not an earthquake, and don't get seasick, okay?
Whee.
But as you can tell now, it's a lot closer.
Oh, wow. Big difference.
See?
Yep. Yep.
So, and you just do this until you got it flush. Like I said, you know. The goal here is just to do one at a time. Okay. I think we'll just do it like this real quick. Yeah, it's going to shake everything for a bit, but
Yeah, it's only taking a minute. No problem.
yeah, it's only taking a minute. Okay. So now you can see the difference. Focus.
Yeah. And that little bit there should make a big difference, right?
That little bit is what will make the difference between the ESC hitting and not hitting.
Yeah, I can actually see it with the level of the nut that's on one of those standoffs.
Correct. Sure. Okay. So this is just one of those little tidbits that you got to, that every quad's different. Okay.
Yeah.
You might run into this. Yeah, Uncle Bill, Jello in the video. Just remember it's lime Jello. Okay. Fine. You can keep that cherry stuff to yourself. Hey, Blizzard, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Blizzard FPV, what's up, man? Good to see you, bro.
We are doing manual surgery on Maddie's CL1.
Hey, whatever has got to be done, right?
That's it, man.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
We're doing a little bone trimming. Let's see, let's do this one here next. Let's see, who else in there? Corey Man, what's up, buddy? Who else in there? Mike? Let's see, am I going to say it right? Hernick? I hope I said that right, Mike.
Rennick. Pretty close.
Is it Rennick?
Yep.
Okay, so the H is silent? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh, I wish he was here because I can actually pronounce his name.
Akira Show.
Hirosho.
Akira Show.
Yeah. I have friends that are Japanese, so yeah. The Hirosho. So he would get a kick out of that. So everybody else all like butchering his name. Come on, get under there. I don't want to cut you.
Blizzard said he's pulling parts off his new 7-inch and turning it into a bandolero.
Really? Okay. So you're gonna go bando, huh? You're gonna go all bando on us. That's all right.
And when he says bando, what does he mean by that? Like a ripper?
No, bandolero is a particular frame, but it was built to go fly bandos, abandoned buildings.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's what bandos.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to do with this one. I think I want to stick this one on a better frame. This one's it's really thin, and
yeah,
I don't really want to.
Not a bando
this
frame.
is an old school frame, bro. Really old school.
Yeah.
All the components are on there though, so all I need to do is just switch it over.
That's all right. There we go. That's better. All right, one more screw, and then we're good to go. Oh, all right. Last one.
No worries. I'm gonna walk away for 1 second, Doc. I gotta put some Oradil on my teeth.
No, not a problem. Not
right
a problem. Yeah, we know how those baby teeth are. It's okay. Oh, guys, we have too much fun. Don't take yourselves too dang seriously out there, okay? That's what gets everybody mad at each other. Got to be able to laugh at yourself, because if you can't laugh at yourself, don't you dare laugh at somebody else. So, because that just makes you a four-letter word. So, all right. Now that we got these, all 4 screws now are now filed almost flush. So now we can put the washers on again. And these are just little, so you can see them, these are these little 1 millimeter thick. They're little 1 millimeter thick nylon washers that you can get down at the hardware store. I usually buy them by the dozens just to have. Okay. So now that that's on, then we take the ESC again. Remember, motor 1, 2, 3, 4. Motor 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is going to mount just like so. And you put your finger on it, hold it, and look between it, and now we have a very nice gap. That way, nothing is going to hit electronically while this is flying. That is how you want it to look when it's mounted. Okay. So, piece of cake, guys. Piece of cake. Where's my Dremel? Oh, I got it hanging up here, Joe. I'd have to put a wheel on it because I broke the wheel the last time I used it. So it's like, I'll just do it with a file. So I got files and all kinds of other stuff down here.
Oh,
there you are.
See myself.
Oh, hang on. Let me fix you. You popped off, and I got to pop you back in the right spot there. Get later, your Mike. Spot there, Maddie.
Night Train's heading out. Later, Mike.
All right, Night Train. Have a good night, buddy. We shall talk to you on some of the next streams. So,
Corey, you won't see me with the next class. You won't see me with the next class. Nah.
Why not?
It's too damn big.
What's that got to do with anything?
You never know.
Yeah.
I'm used to small things, Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
It's late.
All right. Hang on. I got to take some Diet Coke here. So. This is amazing. Hey, guys. I just want to thank all 15 of you that are still in here right now watching this.
Yeah,
I really do. I honestly did not know how many people would be interested in watching. You know, especially at this time of night. You know, I was hoping to do it earlier in the evening. But I had some things come up with the wife that we had to go to the ear doctor for her hearing aids. They were acting all weird. So we were able to get that all fixed in about an hour. So it kind of pushed me back getting things ready and getting in here. So, but hopefully either Saturday night or Sunday afternoon, we'll do the second part of this stream to finish this build. Because I'm not going to be able to finish it tonight because we'll be up really late tonight.
Yeah.
If we do that. But I want to at least get the motors on, get the ESC in, get the motors wired, and get it all set, and then put the flight controller on, show how that all mounts. And that way you guys can all get an idea of the process that you go through to do all this. There's just steps you have to do. So, you know, I'm learning so much I never noticed the board was numbered. Yeah, every one of them is numbered. Now, some of them, and I have noticed this, some of the older stuff, the board isn't numbered. But it'll come with a set of instructions that will have a picture of the board, and it will be labeled in the picture. So you'll just have to know which one you got to look at, and it will show you which way the board sits, okay, in relation to the numbering. So, all right, so we got this here. That's what we need for that. Next thing we got to do is anchor this down. I need these. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. You can either do metal screws that are long enough and then put nylon nuts on to hold it down and then stack your next piece on the metal that way. Or the way I'm going to do it here for Maddie, because this particular flight controller does not use gummies. All right? So you don't want to put this on metal screws with metal nuts. All right? So what we'll do is I'm going to be using these here. These are 3 millimeter by 1/4 inch tall or 6 millimeter tall standoffs, and these are nylon. Okay, so we'll just put 4 nylon nut standoffs on here. And you basically just put these on finger tight, because if you try to tighten them up with a wrench, you'll just strip them, because they're just, you know, soft nylon. Okay. This is how this particular stack was mounted in the quad that it came out of. And it was mounted inverted. So it had kind of a special setup in there. Okay. So now that all 4 of those are on there like that, now you can see how the flight controller will sit. I'm just going to set it on there. Remember, this is the bottom side. It's got the antenna, because this particular controller has the SpeedyB app. This is where the barometer is. So this piece of foam will actually be sandwiched between the ESC and the flight controller. So this is going to sit like this, because the camera and the ESC wires go to the front, and the ESC wires plug onto this particular connector right there. So this will just sit down like this. And then when I go to mount this, I have 4 nylon nuts that will go on top of this, and then that'll be where that'll mount. Then once this is all mounted, wired up, the camera is on, then I will go to mount this, you know, this piece right here. Okay. And it will mount right here to those 4 20mm mounting holes. And then VTX and receiver will go on one side or the other.
Yep.
Okay. So that's how these will go. All right. So I'm going to unplug that so I don't get dragging this all over the place here. All right. So we'll pull that off for now. Next step. You got to get the motors wired up. Okay. So this is again where you have to think about aesthetics versus functionality. Okay. You can either wire the motor wires to the outside, like so. Matter of fact, let me zoom that in a little bit so you guys can see that a little better. Okay. So you can either take the wires, remember 3 wires, it's 3-phase motor. 3 of these in the front go to this motor, 3 of these in the back go to this motor. Okay. So you would take them being flat like this, and you can kind of bend them around like so, and have it like this. Okay, and you do all 3 wires to all 3 tabs for this motor that way. The other option is to take the motor wires one at a time and go this way around the inside of the standoff and solder it to the inside, like so.
You know,
there is some plus to this and some minus to this. The minus is that by the time you get 12 wires tucked underneath between the ESC and the flight controller, there's always the chance of the wires vibrating on the flight controller and causing issues. Okay, so this is just one of those things. Let me pull this one down here. Okay, this is the one that I have that's on a 4-in-1 ESC right now, is my DRL practice rig. So if you can look inside there, I have all the wires come to the out. This is a slightly wider frame. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because with them coming out.
But I have a shit ton more wiring in this one, as you can well see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Now, with them being out on this thin frame, with the ESCs being so wide, would I be worried about those wires snagging on something with them being somewhat exposed?
If you manage to snag them up tight against that flight controller, you were in something you weren't supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah, no shit. Okay. Good point.
Here's the plus side to doing it to the outside versus inside.
Yep.
You don't have to take the flight controller off to fix it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And there it is. So push come to shove, outside tends to be better for the majority of instances. Okay. For the guys that want to be, that are very particular about how the wiring looks and everything's got to be tucked in, it's got to look absolutely beautiful, they'll run it inside, and that's fine. Okay. And either is absolutely 100% correct.
Corey mentioned something about running the wires under the ESC. Is that?
You can if you have room.
If you have room, yep.
Correct. For what we are doing, we get in there.
Yeah, there's not much room.
Let me back up. There we go. There is no room under there.
Yeah.
there's barely about 2.5 millimeters clearance. We ain't going to put 12 wires under there.
Nope.
Okay, so there that is. But yes, you can if you have room. If you put it up on if you put it up on standoffs this high, where the ESC is sitting this high off of the bottom of the frame, absolutely plenty of room. Tuck your wires under there, knock yourself out. It's absolutely perfectly fine. There is no real wrong way to do it, except pinching wires and having wires that touch the gyro chip on the flight controller. You avoid having anything cross over around it. You try to keep that area where that gyro chip clear, so that way nothing taps it, in flight, because it'll make the quad freak out. Okay.
Okay, so for this one, you're going to go to the outside with them.
So this one, we're going to go to the outside. Okay. So we just kind of got to work the wires a little bit.
Mikey brings up a good point, too. With it being on the outside, you don't have to remove that top plate either.
That is correct. That's the plus.
To get the flight controller out of the way.
That's right. All right, so we're going to start cutting wires here. Yep, cutter.
I need for me, it needs to be simplistic. And for doing them like you're doing them, it's going to be easier.
This will be easy.
For me.
All right, now we'll get in here and start soldering again. Now the way I do these type of wires, I do one at a time. Okay. And it's a lot easier to get it right.
Now, does it matter which one of those 3 wires goes on which one of those 3 pads?
No, it does not.
Okay, so you can actually run that wire routing however you want, as long as it's on that motor side.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, where did I set my solder? Here, solder, solder, solder. Here, solder, solder, solder. I know you're here. There you are. The right one. There we go.
This is interesting stuff.
Yep. So again, take your solder. There we go. Take your solder. Just melt the piece off. Makes it easier to hold. Okay. So, all right. So we're gonna put this. Let's see, I gotta move some tools out of the way here. Let's see, are we looking at the right one? Yep, right one. Okay,
yep.
Good. All right. Now we'll just in that, and that's ready. Okay, now for this one, this is a lot stiffer wire. I'll grab it with the bigger pliers here. And you gotta kind of train it a little bit too. And you gotta remember to keep gripping it.
Now these wires have already been tinned on the end?
Nope, I tinned them.
Oh, okay.
Just like that. And the wire soldered.
That stuff's pretty strong, huh? It's not easy to break apart, is it?
No. Then once it's soldered, you can tuck the wires down.
Yeah, you can
give them a little push. You just give them a little push. Train them where you want them to stay. Okay, and that's what you do. Okay. So same thing with this next one. We'll kind of give it a little training here.
That solder, once you pin them together, it dries pretty damn quick, doesn't it?
Well, it cools. It actually doesn't dry.
It cools. Yeah.
That's right. You're actually, when you heat it, you're making a metal liquid.
Yep.
And once it cools, it turns back to a solid.
Kind of like welding wire.
It is exactly like welding wire.
I can weld. So soldering, I should be able to figure out.
Yep. You will do just fine. Okay. So we'll get this. There we go. Okay, same thing. Just carefully tin the wire. All right, then we'll get a hold of this little bugger. Okay, I'm not getting my head in the way, am I?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll put that like so. No, there we go. And you don't want to move it while it's cooling. The reason for that is it will actually create what they call a cold solder joint. So You got to be very, very careful of that. Okay. So again, we'll just do some wire training here.
Are you holding that wire against that solder point when you hit it with the solder gun?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. There. Cut that one off. All right. Tidbit. What do you do with your trimmings?
I would say keep them.
You save every flipping one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I did with that other one. It's up here somewhere.
Sitting on top of the ESC.
And then on top. Oh, there it is. Yep. So you save those.
We're zoomed in, remember.
Okay. Give me a kiss. All right. Go to bed.
Good night, Chloe.
Wave to everybody.
Night, honey.
All right. Scoot, scoot. Hey, I'm doing some building. Go on. Okay.
Oh, I want to see you build.
Well, it's time for you to go to bed. Go to bed.
I don't brush my hair.
Well, go get your hair brushed, then come talk to me. Okay? Scoot, scoot.
I want to see you build.
Well, I'm building, but I'm talking to them as well. Okay? All right, so get this last one trimmed up here. Same thing, guys. Just take it. Get a little training in it, you know, to help it stay where you want it. Or, yeah, something like that. Stay where you want it.
Stay where you want. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Tin the wire. Okay. There we go.
Bingo.
Just like that. Okay, so I'm not going to bore everybody with the rest of the wires doing this, but I wanted to show this part of it right here, so that way everybody could see how this is how you do the motor wires. Okay, it's not really hard. It just takes a little time, and take your time. There's nothing wrong with taking your time doing this, you know, because if you do this right, you do it clean, you know, and you make no mistakes. Because remember, I want to show something here. Right next to each one of these motor wires, where they solder on here, these are MOSFETs. You drop solder onto these little contacts right next to the MOSFETs, and you power it up, it goes poof.
What's the MOSFET?
The MOSFET is the actual switching transistor that switches the power from winding to winding to winding. And that's what makes the motor spin.
Gotcha.
Okay. And there are 3 MOSFETs, 1 MOSFET for each wire. So
got it.
That's how it works. All right. Next thing I want to show how to put on, and this is where we'll put some of the standoffs on, because we need to put the standoffs on to mount this to it to figure out how long the wire needs to be. Okay. So again, pick the right screw size to go through the frame and up into the standoffs. I guess I probably should have zoomed that out a little bit, huh? No. There we go. Okay, so we'll do this like this, because we're going to put, I tend to put my battery leads on the right hand side of the quad. That's just how I do it. So being that that's the case, this will solder on. We have to decide to either go this way with it and up, or go behind it and up. But if we go behind it and up, it's going to get in the way of this. Okay. See, and like this I'm already looking at. Okay, I'm going to have to do a little trimming. So to get this to fit now, I just got to round that off with a pair of wire cutters. So I'll just take these. This is all the things you got to do as you do this. You know, I drew this up not having anything like this to look at. And we do that, now it fits. So I'll have to do that probably to all 4 corners. So that'll definitely make it where those will fit. Yep, there's the holes there, and we're good now. Okay, so I'll have to do that to the back ones also. Okay. And we'll just take this.
Is that normal for the battery lead to come out the side and not out the back? Or is it just preference?
It's, for me, it's preference.
Okay.
So there are a few quads that it has to come out the front, actually.
Okay.
The Armaton, Chameleon, and Rooster. You would actually mount this ESC backwards and rewire the plug, and then this actually would come up behind the GoPro in the front, and it would come up real short. It would actually come out about like that.
Gotcha.
And then you would mount the battery with the lead on the battery coming out the back, and you would strap the lead over the top and plug it in. And that's how you do an Armaton, Chameleon, and Rooster.
You know what would be cool is to have that thing set up like the new Evoke does, to where it's stationary, and then you just plug your battery into it. If you had like a 3D print, you know what I mean? That'd be kind of cool.
But
it's different
for these type of frames, for this type of flying.
It's not really meant.
You want a little give to where if you take a hit on a tree trunk, you actually want that battery to eject.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah. So this is kind of what I'm looking at. You know, if we solder the red lead here, come up, this gives plenty of lead up on the top. Actually, it's almost a little too much. So we actually want it a little shorter.
Yeah, and then it's all about how I strap my batteries in. So
yep, I'm looking for there it is.
Which I could always.
This is a 4S battery. Okay, so it will sit on top of the frame, approximately like so. So you would take your leads. So you'd have leads on the back, okay, or on the front. Like a lot of times I'll do this and tuck the balance lead in against the GoPro. And then I will take the battery lead and I will plug it in like so.
And have the Velcro actually holding that in place.
You can, absolutely.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can do that. So
yep. All right.
By having this come up to right about there. So this will have enough give like so. Yep. Even if the battery lead sticks up, doesn't matter.
That's not, as long as it's up and not out.
Right. Okay. So we're going to go about 1.5 inches above the top plate of the frame. So we're going to have the battery lead stick about that high above the top plate of the frame.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Cool. So I'll hold it right there. This will give me an idea of how much wire I need. So we're going to cut it right about there on the red. Okay. That. Okay, so we're going to tin that real quick.
Mikey, we'll hook up once you get your 3D printer and get it going. We'll hook up and talk about parts. I'm not in a rush for them, so whenever you're ready, it's all good.
Now, on the bigger wires, you do have to use a little more heat. Take a little more time with it. And
I remember you saying that.
You might even have to do both sides. So, like this one, you have to do both sides because the wire is so fine. It takes a little time to get the solder to go through. Okay. So, this will be where this one will go. Okay. So we'll give it a little tweak. So what I did was I gave it just a little bend just to help the wire get out away from the ground wire.
Yeah. Good idea. Good point.
All right, so we're going to do that, and then we'll cut this one right about there. Right about the O. There.
Hello. Can you?
Hello.
Hello.
Anybody home? That's an old joke, guys, for all you youngins. And yes, I do get to call most people youngins now because I am older.
Well, Doc, I'm not going to argue with you there.
Yep.
I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. How many people we still got hanging with us? 13. All
We got
right.
13 people. Thank you guys for sticking around watching this. I
Hell
mean,
yeah,
I know
man.
some of this, it looks a little boring, but this is all steps you have to take to build these things.
Yeah, man.
You have to take the time and be diligent to do one step at a time and to make sure each step is done right.
Yep.
And
Right.
when you do that, you will not blow stuff up unless it's faulty to start with.
By the way, you have 18 thumbs up, 0 thumbs down, which is always nice.
Awesome. Man, really? I got 0 thumbs down? I
0.
actually kind of hoping for like half and half.
Oh shit,
Just,
you want one?
just
You got
for
one, buddy.
fun. You know what I mean?
Get that
Just
YouTube
for
algorithm
fun.
going.
Yeah. Just to play with it. So
I got a thumbs
right.
down on my last Tiny Hawk 2 freestyle video, and
Did you really?
I couldn't help but smile.
Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah.
You know you're doing something right, man.
That's right. All right, so now now this is where the fun part comes. We got to get all this in the right spot here. Okay, so we're gonna heat that up and heat it for a few seconds to get the whole tab hot. Then you got to hold it. Hold it long enough so that
You
it
feel the burn.
Cools until it's solid. So
yeah, that is the most crucial part, I believe.
yes, sir. All right, and then this will be the hot one. Same thing, you push down, heat the whole thing until it's all liquid, then let go and hold it until it's solid.
Mike made a comment earlier. Mike trained me to comment, if it's not shiny, it's not solid. Look for shiny. Shiny is good.
That is very true. All right, so there we go there. We'll take it, give it a little twist.
Now you know we're getting somewhere when we got the battery lead on, brother.
That's right.
Hell yes.
So,
progress.
Because now it's just a matter of getting it to fit up against the standoff nicely. You know? So.
What about a zip tie?
Zip tie right there. Yep. Oh, yeah. This all good zip ties. We're back to the zip tie thing, guys.
Gotta love them. I use them, man.
Everything is zip ties.
And I use zip ties on everything. It's awesome. Oh, your refrigerator door's falling off? Give me a zip tie.
Yep. They make big zip ties too, guys. Let me tell you.
Hell, right, look at the ones the cops use.
Those are breakable.
That they are.
We won't talk about that.
No, we won't. I've done it. Pop.
It's all about knowing how zip ties work. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the wires down, kind of train them to stay down, you know, against the frame here. And then run this zip tie as low as I can. Okay, so it looks like we're going to get it to go like so. There we go. We'll going to get a little kink in it, apparently. See if I can get that little bit of a kink out. Probably not. It'll be all right.
That's not a bad thing. It forces it to face up.
Well, it's just it ended up just a tiny bit longer on this side when I turned it. So
that's
all we'll do is we'll just give it a little tweak, and she will be good. Okay, and then we'll put this zip tie up close to the top of the standoff. Now this one I'm not gonna zip too hard at the moment because I still have to put the top plate on it. It'll push this out. Okay,
yep.
But there's where it is, guys. All right, so the next thing that would go on, and I'm gonna just mount it up so you can see it again. Okay. The first thing you would do is this is the connector for the ESC. So you would get that plugged in. Sure, get it plugged in the right way. Okay. So you'd plug the ESC connector in. Make sure that the flight controller faces forward. Make sure the arrow faces front. Give this a little twist down here, just to kind of get the wires down. Then this will go down like this. Okay. And let me dig out some, let's see if I got them in this bin here. Dig out some nylon nuts. Yep, here we go. Now, mind you, this is all stuff that doesn't come with the kit, with the frame kit.
It does not.
It doesn't come with the flight controller or the ESC.
Gotta have it.
So keep that in mind, guys. You're gonna need this stuff. Okay. You know, don't be afraid to go and buy a little baggie of, 3mm nylon standoffs, 3mm nylon nuts, 3mm metal nuts, an assortment of 3mm screws, from your hardware store or from online or whatever, You're going to need this stuff. You're going to break stuff and, especially if you buy binding flies. Yeah, it has everything that comes with it when you buy it. But after you crash it a couple times and stuff starts breaking or falling off, okay, well then what?
Yep, you got nothing extra unless you buy it. Yep.
Yeah, and then you got to go get it. So it's always a good idea just to take a look at what you need and go get it.
Wedgeworth says, just cut the zip ties off flush and straight or you will be sorry. And I tell you, they are sharp little bastards if you cut them.
Yes, they are.
Oh, I've gotten myself quite a few times on those.
There we go. That is why these flush cutters are very handy for that. Do not use regular diagonal cutters, guys. You will regret it. It turns these things into razor blades.
For my little ones, I use straight nail clippers. Actually, for the little guys.
Yeah.
Not on something like this, but if I need a zip tie cut, I just use a pair of nail clippers, get up tight, and it works out really well.
Yeah.
But now I have those flush cutters in that ready race day quad kit. So.
Yep. It makes a big difference, guys. Okay, screw this one. This is always the toughest part, is getting these little nylon nuts started.
Yeah.
Especially when you got little sausage fingers. So, just like most of us guys. We got these little sausage fingers trying to do all this fine, intricate flipping stuff. All right, there's that part. So now we'll take these, okay, and let's see where to put it, and the camera, okay, and we'll make it start to look like a quad here for a moment, because I can work around everything else. I'll put these two screws over here. These two little screws here, they're very, very small thread. They're like a 1.5mm thread. They're very small. You can sometimes find them at the hardware store. Most of the time not. So don't lose them, okay? So now what we got to do is we got to determine which way this fits. Now I've already put this together, and the way this actually fits is this actually comes out to fit this frame. So it's going to fit. So it's going to fit like this. Okay. And I have to mount it to the middle hole on the camera. And then this particular screw happens to use the same hex bit as the frame screws. So
yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, that's always nice. It don't always work that way.
Yeah.
Okay. And mind you, I'm mounting this like this because it makes it a lot easier for this particular frame with this particular camera. Come on, get on there. It just makes it a lot easier to mount these to the camera before I put it on the frame than to mount these to the frame and then put the camera on. Okay. So, yes, I ordered M2, M3 steel and nylon screws, nuts, bushings. Yep. Don't forget washers, Dustin. Don't forget washers. Little nylon 1mm washers. Okay. So, absolutely. All right. So, double check, make sure she's going to fit good. Yep. All right. Now we need 2 screws to mount the standoffs. That'll be these 2 screws here. Okay. Again, they take the same Allen bit, which is really fortunate in this particular build.
Yeah.
You know, that the camera mounting screws were the same Allen bit, so you're not having to swap back and forth all the time. I have had to do that a number of times on a lot of frames because the camera uses these tiny screws with tiny beds.
Yes, Mikey, it's a run cam.
Yeah, this is a run cam Swift. It has a 2.5 millimeter lens, and it just and it's an M12 on the threads.
Now to adjust that camera, you just loosen those 2 side screws and then just move it up and down, right?
That is correct. So you just tilt it like
Yep,
that.
perfect.
And that's it. So that way you can see what it looks like. That's how you
Sweet.
tilt it. Okay?
Sweet.
Oop, dropped one of my tools here. Up here.
Boy, it all looks nice and clean. Nice
This
and
is
clean.
the idea. Okay. Now this is the VTX connector. Now you notice I do have a wire clipped on this. That is for audio out of the camera. This flight controller is capable of handling that as an input, and there are some cameras that have a microphone built into them. So
I don't really see the point of that. Well, maybe, I guess. I don't.
it comes back to the same reason why you have a microphone mounted built into the VTX. Same reason.
Just for the sound.
It's for the sound. For the motor sound. Okay, so you clip that like that. Then the Wi-Fi, this part right here, is going to get a piece of double stick tape, and it's going to get mounted because the wire connector is here. So what we'll probably do is stick it right behind the standoffs, close to the flight controller, like that, because this wire has to plug on here and wrap around to the bottom of the flight controller to this set of, to where this plug is on the bottom for the solder pads. So it's going to go around that way. So that way I don't have to trim too much, and it allows the wire to be out away from everything. And I'll probably run this under the flight controller. So I'll run it through this section here underneath behind these 2 standoffs. So that way it keeps the wire contained. Okay. All right. Smart audio. Smart audio is actually a protocol, Dustin.
So I'm starting
that is not an actual audio, like hearing audio from the quad flying. Smart audio is the protocol.
I'm starting to think now that, okay, so a lot of pilots, good pilots, use the audio to hear what their motors are doing for throttle reasons.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, okay. But you have to have a specific auxiliary into your goggles to hear that? Or
yes. Fat Sharks have an audio. Yeah. They have an audio. Yep.
I have an audio out. I have an audio in and out AV or whatever, the VN, the headphone jack on my box goggles.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it has a speaker in there somewhere.
Well,
maybe
no, it might have a speaker in there for audio coming out. Yeah.
Huh.
You have to take a look at that. See what you got.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where this will go, guys. So I'll zoom in a little bit so everybody can kind of see how this is going to plug together. Just a little bit here. So as you can see, camera mounts here. This is the camera wire going to the flight controller. This little pigtail wire here is for a 5-position joystick. This allows you to do all the settings in the camera direct. You plug the little board into it, you power everything up, look in the goggles, press the button to get into the menu, and then you can do all your menus in here for setting the camera up. So you fine tune it for your area, for your rig, for your eyes. Okay. And yeah, Mikey's right. You can plug earbuds in, just regular wired headphones. Plug them right into the ones that have a headphone jack.
And that'll give me, but that's only if I have the audio.
Correct. If your VTX is transmitting the audio, yes.
Yeah, I have it right there. I have the
okay.
right there.
All right, so I can either mount it like this, or I can mount it like that. And if I mount it like that, I can still tilt the camera up to almost 45 degrees, about 40 degrees. Or I can mount it on its side, and that will let it go even further. Okay, so that'll probably be how I'll mount it then. I'll mount that, tuck it kind of close up behind the camera, because it's going to be tilted up anyhow.
Yeah.
The camera will protect the element that makes the noise. It'll be shooting out the front into the back of the camera. That puts this wire here, which means I can cut it shorter, and it puts it between the standoffs. It also makes it to where if you need to, you can get to the button to turn it off. So, yep, I think that's how that'll mount.
Cool.
All right, so we'll get that going. This is where this stuff comes into play now.
Yes, it does.
This is the fun stuff, guys. This is where the stuff starts getting real. Okay, what you do, I'll back this out so everybody can see what I'm doing here. All right, what you do is you just put whatever it is you're going to stick on. You just kind of get an idea where it goes. Okay, cross over yourself. Try not to kill everybody. And just kind of put a little mark where it's gonna, where you need to cut, and you just give it a little slice. Peel it off, just like that, guys. Take it. Stick it on the back side. Make sure you put it on the correct side you're going to stick down, because there is a button on this. You don't want to stick it on the button side. That would suck. Because that button is for shutting this off and turning it on. Okay. Stick it down real good. You know, make sure it's pushed down real good. Then take a, razor blade or X-Acto knife, get up underneath of it. Pull it back. For the most part, you don't need more than one piece. If you're all crazy and all that, if you want to put a second piece on there, you could, to make it a little softer, a little softer of a mount.
Yeah, one piece is usually good.
But usually one piece is enough. Okay. Now I'm not going to tuck it up tight against the camera. Okay. So yeah, there we go. So I'm not going to take it and tuck it tight against the camera, because that's just not wise, because then if you do run into something and bump the camera down, it's going to hit this and you could break something.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure it's back just a little bit, but also make sure that it's got enough room in there for the wires, okay, to move around. Okay. So that'll be about where it's going to go. We'll just stick it down nice and tight. Just like that. There we go. So that is where that's going to go. That is now mounted. Okay. Then, because we're going to do it that way, I'll run this wire out the other side. Now this acts as both the buzzer and the lost model finder. Okay. So when we do it, then bear in mind that chip right there is the gyro chip. Okay. That chip right there is your OSD, and that is your processor. Okay?
Yes, Robbie's mounting the beeper.
Yep. So you don't want any wires to come across the top or bang into that chip right there, because that's where all your gyros are. Okay? So what we'll do...
That's amazing, all that tech in one little board.
Oh my God, the amount of tech that's in this little thing is amazing.
That's so unreal.
So what we'll do, the way this is going to work is it's just going to feed through.
Oh, okay, there you
underneath. Go. Okay, so I'll pop out the other side if I can get it past the power wire. There we go. Now, if I had the other, which I actually do, I have connectors that fit this.
Oh, for plug-in?
Where I could just plug this in. I could solder this to the little leads, and it would then have a connector that would plug just right into this directly without soldering. But hooking these little tiny ass freaking wires up into that is a...
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Whatever.
It's
Yeah.
easier to solder.
Yep.
Okay, but that's how that'll do. Basically you won't even see this because it'll tuck around like this. You know, it'll fold like this, but underneath these wires are going to solder under this board. Okay, but effectively that is how it'll work. It'll just have, you just make sure you got a little bit of slack up here in the front, so that way if you need to unplug it and pull this out, you can.
Yeah.
And be able to plug it back in and put it back. Okay. So, but that's the majority of the build. I mean, the VTX, you know, again, this plugs into the VTX, you know, so this set of wires here, again, I'll do the same thing. I'll tuck these wires. Better back out just a hair. There we go. I'll take these VTX wires here and I'll tuck them underneath, and they'll go, and get a hold of it there. They'll go just like this, you know, and I'll probably put the VTX on this side and put the receiver on this side. And that's how that'll all mount up. Okay. So I think this is a good spot to stop because I'm going to have a lot of extra soldering, which is boring. Okay. And it's all the same. I've already showed how to do these 3 motor wires. All the other motor wires are the same. Okay. Then once that's soldered on, you know, I'll pull the flight controller off and I'll solder up the lost model the buzzer wires, the receiver wires, and I'll have the receiver programmed, you know, at that point, because I need to program it to make sure that it has the correct FrSky protocol on it.
Yep.
Okay, which it should, because I ordered it from a place that said it has the correct one on it. So I should just be able to bind it. I'm going to try just binding it first. If it binds, we're good. If it doesn't bind, it means I got to change protocols and reprogram it, which is not a big deal. It just takes a little time.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, I'll get some, because I'm out of my 2mm screws to mount this. So I got to go by the hardware store tomorrow. Go pick up some 2mm screws that are about 4 to 6 millimeters long and some 2mm nuts and get that puppy mounted, and
that's
good. And
pretty much it.
It's almost done.
Yep.
This is how quick it is to build. I mean, granted, guys, we've been on what, 2.5 hours? Okay. And at 2.5 hours, I've gone through how, why, all the tools, and how to go about doing this step by step.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it all in one stream.
Almost. I mean, there's a little more to it, you know, that we still got to do, and we'll cover that at that point.
Yep.
And it's just because I need some 2mm screws and nuts for the mounting of this plate, and some 2mm screws and nuts to mount the antenna connector. And yeah, and then I'll show how to build an antenna in a separate stream just for antennas.
Oh yeah, that's because that's your side gig that you love to
Yeah.
do. So that's something that people would definitely be interested in.
That will take me 2.5 hours just to explain just that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of one of those things. So guys, everybody that's still in the stream, I mean, it's 11 o'clock here in New Mexico. I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast.
Yep.
10 o'clock on the West. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and for watching.
Absolutely great job.
And if you guys missed anything, it'll automatically upload to my channel, you know, to where you guys can watch it later and pick out what you need to learn, you know. So I want to thank you guys. Maddie?
Yes, sir.
We'll do this second stream to finish her up here either Saturday or Sunday. So everybody that's listening, hopefully Saturday or Sunday, we'll pick a day. We'll let everybody know ahead of time. Okay?
You got it.
So with that, let me come here, Mousy. Where'd you go? Here, Mousy, Mousy, Mousy.
You end stream, I'm gonna stay on. So.
Oh no, we're not gonna end stream yet. But what we will do is we'll come off of here and go to this. All right. So,
hey
guys, thank you very much for watching. Very, very much appreciate it. You know, God, I think I got thumbs up on almost everybody that was here tonight.
Yeah, you had a good crowd in tonight.
Yep. And yeah, I still want to get with you on Skype for the antenna build. You bet, Dustin. I'll do it live. I'm gonna do a live build on how to build the antennas, so that way everybody can see how to do them. They're not hard, but they do take some time and some very careful measurements to get them right. And once you get the measurements right, you will have some very good antennas. So
that's cool.
All right. So guys, stick around. We'll let you guys. Let me see if I. Oh, you know what? I don't really have a good end stream. You know,
more coming on DocmurdocFPV Live.
Yeah, we will have more. Absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll put up my my little splash screen that I had for the intro. Matter of fact, I think I can probably put the one with the timer up with the music.
Yeah, there you go.
We can do that. Yeah. Okay. This is the. I'm gonna play the actual intro again, guys. This will give you about 5 minutes to say your goodbyes. And thanks for watching.
Good night, everybody.